Hey there, comic book friends. I'm Travis, and this is the Comic Book Roundtable. And this is my large group of fellow comic book readers that are here with me tonight to read comics. I suppose I'll introduce them all. I don't know that any of them need introductions. Everybody knows who everybody is here, but I'll quickly go down the line. Way down at one end, maybe right next to me, because I never know how this thing's lined up, is Comics to Comics.
How's it going?
And next to him is Wednesday Cereal. Cereal as in killer, not as in the breakfast food. Next to him is Read'em Steven. Next to him is Sergeant America. And next to him is Stacy Poole S. How's it going, everybody?
Hey, good.
Comics. We're here to talk comics. Was it a good week of comics?
It was the best week.
It was the best week? I don't know if it was the best week for me, but
Shallow.
yeah, I don't know. I still got an issue of Wolverines, so I don't know that it was a good week, but you know.
Man.
You do that to yourself, though.
I know. It's all my fault. Actually, I haven't read it. I haven't read last week's yet either, though. So there you go. Anyway,
Batwomaning yourself.
I know.
Okay?
I know. It's horrible. Oh, just waiting for it to be off my pole. It's gonna happen soon. Anyway, let's talk Marvel. Let's talk Marvel right off the bat.
Oh.
What have we been reading Marvel-wise? Who wants to start?
Thor.
Thor?
Yay!
All
The
right.
annual. Like when you get a variety group of cupcakes, there are some you like, some that you don't, and some that just give you upset stomach.
There are bad cupcakes?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
there-
confused.
There's a rock in some of them. So.
You said cupcakes and bad in the same sentence. Like, that's not a thing.
Not so great cupcakes. Then. All right. Yeah, the first story is Old Thor, kind of the one that we got pre New Thor Girl, but not New Girl. It's just Thor, not Thor Girl.
Thor
Because
Odin's
the next,
son?
yeah, it's Thor Odin's son,
Okay.
his daughters, and then the basically the Earth is destroyed. So for a gift, they give him Adam and Eve, two humans, to start the whole world over again.
Wow.
Oh, wait. So before everyone starts bashing this, I love this. So
Okay.
let me just hop in,
Yep.
and then you guys can bash away. This comic overall, the theme to it was bonding. Each story had a bonding element to it. In the first story, it's Thor, future Thor, and his daughters bonding over creating new life on Midgard. And the next story, it's the new Thor bonding. Finally, we see her kind of acclimating to Asgard and talking with the new gods that are getting to know her. And it's funny because during that they're saying, well, the old Thor used to do this, and then they'd snicker, and she'd go and do it in a different way, and they'd be impressed by it. And then the last one is Mephisto and Thor having a drinking contest. So, I mean, really, thoroughly enjoyable bash away.
Well, wait. So if it's a bonding comic, did you say you get a carbon copy?
All right, I think it's the perfect time for me to jump in. I think it was all three stories were okay. I was really looking forward to the CM Punk story because it's kind of his first time in comics and stuff, and I thought it was okay. I didn't really expect CM Punk to like blow me away or anything, but it was
So
pretty.
which was his story?
It was the Mephisto.
The drinking one.
Yeah,
Okay.
drinking story. But I thought it was okay. I don't really have a favorite among all three of these stories. I thought they were all, well done, and I guess the Noelle Stevenson story was. I kind of gravitated to that a little more because I'm a fan of her and Lumberjanes, and just kind of seeing her do Lady Thor was kind of cool. So.
Not
Yeah.
Lady Thor. Thor.
Sorry.
Because that was what the whole thing was about.
Yeah.
That little story was she once again stated, and I think that's what's great is the comics now with her in it have stated and is very good about she is Thor and there is the Odin son, and that's the only thing I guess I didn't like about it is it seems like we've already gotten that story, but it wasn't bad. It just seemed like it was one more telling again of it.
But do you think that they? I felt that was something that was missing so far in the comic, is her being in Asgard and kind of mingling with the Asgardians. So I didn't think it was a rehash at all.
No.
I felt it was her having to really prove herself to these guys. And she does. And she does it in an unorthodox way. She doesn't use might all the time. She uses her brains a lot of the time to outsmart the situation. And I actually thought it was really good.
Actually, the opposite, because I feel like that was my favorite out of the entire thing because it was so relevant for so many reasons, especially this week. But I just feel like that was a story where it's like, because she goes, I don't have to prove myself to you, but I'm not above showing off. And I think it's not only a comment on, all the haters of the new Thor, but it's also a comment on females in comics. And it was just like, it blew me away, and I was like, yes, finally we have somebody who's like, we don't have to prove ourselves, but we can show off sometimes. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. I did not like the first story. I actually skimmed through it because I was like, I was expecting a lot more from it. And then CM Punk's story, I laughed a lot, especially with the Y guy. I kept saying that out loud and just dying and giggles. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I said this on my review video. I think if CM Punk was just going for an enjoyable story that was fun to read, he definitely delivered. And I think he should write Deadpool. I think him writing Deadpool would be awesome.
Yeah.
So if that's what he was going for, then that one. But I do agree. I think Noelle Stevenson, this first story, I think was the star of the entire annual.
CM Punk with the art from Chew, as you can see, it was perfectly tailored for a fun story. It was young Thor without Molinar, just his axe, being a drinker, being a smacker of people. It was great.
Yeah.
And the first story was for a lot of those people that did read old Thor comics, where it ended off of the whole Butcher God series, where it's about his daughters and himself and him as the three Thor guys, and it was. I mean, each one was definitely, there was a favorite flavor for everybody in here. Is probably the best way of saying it. So it's not like there was a bad cupcake. I was wrong. The best part is there was a good cupcake, a perfect cupcake for everybody.
I agree.
All right.
Well, cool. So I think it was a good annual because we all, have had experience where annuals tend to be pretty much pointless and not worth the money you spend on them lots of times, right?
Yeah.
This is seem to be a lot of times to me they don't really add anything to a character or to the story, but it sounds like this actually did. That's cool.
And it was the $5 book, so
Yeah.
well worth it.
So reasonably priced for a Marvel book.
Yeah. That's kind of a nice dig there.
Well, I only picked up one Marvel book. I picked up Uncanny Avengers. This is issue number 2. I'm digging the book. I don't know exactly what all is going on because there's characters introduced and I'm not sure if they're part of the Marvel universe that I should know something about or not. This issue focused a little more on Sabretooth.
Yeah.
And his lack of his no longer having the compulsion to kill, and he may be in a lot of trouble. Thankfully, he still has his regeneration powers because that switch he used to be able to turn on to just devastate things, he doesn't have that switch anymore. It sounds to me like not only does he not want to turn the switch on, he can't.
Yeah.
Even if it's in a bad place. I love the art. The art is by Daniel Kuna.
Close.
Yeah, something like that.
But it's exactly what I wanted when they did this with Sabretooth. It's exactly what I wanted because they could have just made him a good guy and had it been him, the new Wolverine. I'm glad they're going. There's consequences to this too. Yeah. There's a bad side to him changing over, and it's in this case his very survival.
Yeah.
That
well, he's a victim in this. Yeah. I mean, he's really a victim in this.
Yeah. It was great.
So this I don't remember what his name is. The leader of this what's the planet called? The planet's called Counter Earth,
Yeah.
which is an Earth that's in opposite orbit of our Earth around the sun, so we on Earth can't see it because it's counter to that.
The high evolutionary?
No.
No?
That's factored into it a little bit.
Right.
Oh.
But no, I know.
Is he a real dude? I mean, is he somebody that's? I mean, he looks familiar, like he should be somebody that like Kirby created or something. I mean, this guy. I mean, is he somebody I'm supposed to know?
That is the high
That's-
evolutionary.
Yeah.
Okay, so
No,
he's
but-
there. He's there basically. There's all these animal people, and he just decides that well, they have a bunch of flaws because of course, they just
Yeah.
like to live and procreate like people do, and shame on them for not being better than that. And he basically nukes them all. I mean, he annihilates the entire planet. And but there's some like, I don't know.
But there's the high evolutionary is involved, but there's some characters there that I've seen in other works, so I wasn't sure if there was kind of a mixture of there, because I don't think it's a pure high evolutionary story. I'm glad they're incorporating him back in because I always found him to be an interesting character. But
Right,
there's-
and
there
they
seems to be more to it.
yeah, and they hint a lot more on the fact in this that Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch are not mutants, but that was a ruse, them being mutants.
Oh boy.
Yeah, what do you think of that? Because that's a big basically kind of a change in quote unquote canon, right? If we're going to be excited by altering characters.
I was going to go into that when I went into this.
Okay.
I guess
Okay.
the biggest problem I have with that is with the Sentinels, if they're on mutants only and they've locked on them before, it seems like that is a hole in the continuity.
Oh, that's a good
Well,
point.
Didn't they mistakenly lock on to Spider-Man a few times or whatever? I don't know. The whole what's immune, not immune, but has superpowers is a weird
Yeah.
Yeah.
gray space.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the group of Avengers that they have gathered up here. They aren't really working together as Avengers right now because they've been kind of scattered to the four winds of this of this place. But I like those characters, so I'm interested. Hopefully, it doesn't get too bogged down here in the next couple of months, as I know we run into events. That was my only apprehension on picking the book up in the first place: is how quickly is it going to get railroaded into Secret Wars stuff and not have its own plot.
My apprehension was I read the last run of this.
Well, I
mean,
started
the events were bad, but it had don't get me wrong, it would have 2-3 dud issues and then one that would just knock it out of the park. But that's just not enough of a return to keep it.
I didn't make it to the good issues. All I read was the 2-3 dud issues that dropped at the last run. But I've been really digging Rick Remender on all of his independent stuff, and I liked most of what I read of his Captain America run prior. So I thought, I'll give it this a few issues. And the art that I saw, I thought looked kind of cool. So
I have to ask, if they're not mutants, what are they considered to be?
Yeah.
we don't know.
Well, that's
okay, fair enough.
what they're doing, and I think this is more of a Marvel-wide thing than just obviously narrowed down to 2 or 3 books, is they're kind of blurring the lines of everything, and that I think that's more of a legal thing for future films.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole
This is like
Fox
going
Fox
to
owns
make
all
it-
yeah, with Fox owning all of the
Mutants. The word
all the
mutant.
mutant stuff, and anything that's been named a mutant, Fox has a right to use. By the way, their contract is written up. Boy, I hope they beat whoever wrote that contract up silly. But yeah, so I mean, we've all been kind of, us fan people have all been kind of suspicious that's what they're doing, and it looks more and more like that. I mean, as more of these books come out and they start altering some of that stuff, it makes you, yeah.
Mhm.
But I'm curious to see where it goes. So, you want to talk Inhumans?
Oh, I can do that real quick. Should I say the controversial thing? I think Soule's work at DC has been far superior than his Marvel work. I've been reading Wolverines. It might be knocking it out of the park, but
Wolverines? No.
I feel like his hands are tied a lot more at Marvel. It feels like I don't think they allow him to just kind of be who he is. This really is feeling more and more like that change they're trying to do. The problem is, it doesn't feel like Inhumans. It doesn't feel like X-Men. It feels like they're trying to do something in between, and it's not working necessarily. I do like the fact that Medusa has built this whole new civilization right outside of New York from scratch by herself. Black Bolt shows up in this, and he's trying to say, I'm the king. He can't talk, obviously, but she says, no, I built this myself, so either you kill me or you leave, and he decides to leave. So that's how they're going to have him be in that other book.
Right.
But it really feels like they're trying to make this the X-Men. And not necessarily the modern X-Men, but the classic X-Men were being, the more social commentary X-Men than anything else. And it's just not gelling well for me because they're not really showing the negative side of it as well as they should, I think. Them being attacked for who they are. Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably continue to read it. It's okay, and I love the Inhumans. It's more of a fan service for me to be reading it than anything else. But
so when you say that you think Soul's hands are tied more on the book. So most of us know anyway, he signed an exclusive with Marvel to be doing a lot of work, and I'm assuming they are paying him good money for that exclusive, so they're putting him on what they want a higher return type book, so they put him on that as opposed to the more obscure She-Hulk or whatever, right? Yeah. Which of course, but those are the books that are more heavily controlled, right? These key books as they try to build a new franchise with the Inhumans, right? Because there is going to be an Inhumans movie.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
But it doesn't feel like the Inhumans, and it doesn't feel like the X-Men. It feels like something trying to be the X-Men. It almost feels like a competing company if the X-Men was getting big. You know how they would kind of make a similar book to try and...
Right.
That's what it feels like more.
Uh-huh.
First of all, right here. Second of all, right here again.
What? No. What?
Teen Titans was far superior at the time. Yeah. Anyway.
I'm just saying that's where that came from.
That's not where it came from. Doom Patrol came first of all, then the X-Men.
That's right.
Stuff right.
The moment in time.
I just got schooled.
Wow. Oh.
Anyway, what I'm saying is...
You know what I mean.
God damn it.
You know what I mean. Anyway. Doom Patrol came way before.
Yes.
And, I forgot what I was going to say.
Superman came before Spider-Man.
What?
It's shocking, I know.
Anything else you want to say about the Inhumans?
Do you want to try that again? One is legit, one did inspire the other, and one was just thrown out there. Go ahead.
So, Superman came before Spider-Man, but Spider-Man influenced Superman. It's like it's a cycle that comes around.
Doom Patrol came first of all. You do know that, right?
Yes, I know that.
So what's your point?
My point was, at the time, because the X-Men were getting big, they wanted to capitalize on that sort of a dynamic. So they retooled the Teen Titans to do that. Kind of like you were saying, like if the Inhumans was like done by a competing company, it would be like capitalizing on that sort of thing.
So what's the Spider-Man analogy?
When Spider-Man got big, they started making Clark Kent, that whole dynamic, play a lot closer, like a lot more human.
Now let me just explain something to the community right now. Just right now, let me explain something. See, we had what is called a grievance, a miscommunication. and instead of going behind the scenes and talking trash, we just talked it out. You see what happened there?
That's what you think, but I PM'd three people while we were talking and told them you're ugly.
Yeah. So there was no PMs involved. It was great. I'm sorry. I gotta go get my dinner. Don't talk Daredevil until I get back.
Oh.
That's the worst thing you said.
Why the way?
I feel like there should have been a mic drop at the end of that.
I know you're going to use my show to script these things. You at least let me know beforehand.
Well, what are we going to talk about now? We can't talk Daredevil.
I don't know.
That's called pulling a Bill Murray, right?
Yeah.
How about Deadpool?
Please.
Wait, which one? Can you show the cover? Oh, I didn't get that one yet. But I'm so ready.
What?
Yeah.
I get Daredevil on subscription, so I get it a week late. Because I had no one to talk to. That's going to change once the subscription's up.
You know what? I don't
Go.
Talk
Talk
about it
Deadpool.
now.
Talk Deadpool.
Okay, well, it's not fun now. No, so this is, like I said in my review video, I have to eat my words because I had been hating on Duggan's Run for a really long time, and then I got this issue. God damn it, I liked it.
So, is this the start of them killing him?
This is the one
love it.
before this. 41 was the start of it. This is 42, and I hate that they put it, but it says only 3 issues till Deadpool dies. Like, they have to announce it.
Oh, God.
The beginning of this, I skipped because it's his wife, and I didn't care. And I was like, here we go. This is going to be another book where I just skim through it, and I hate life. And then I actually got to where he and Red Omega are like the meat of the story, and I actually really, really liked it. And then, to add insult to injury, they threw in a MASH reference, and I'm a giant MASH fan, and they made a reference to Hawkeye and a procedure that he does where he sticks an ink pen in a guy's throat to make him breathe. And I was like, you would throw in a MASH reference to make me like this now. And then at the very end, they threw in a B. Arthur reference, and I was like, you've won my heart over. I hate you. So that is essentially, but yeah, it's kind of is setting up that now at the end of this, there's a group of people who are going to kill Deadpool. So we kind of have that storyline in play now. And I don't know how it's going to go. I think it's going to be a giant train wreck, but if they keep
Bearded assassin.
I'm on. What?
It'll be a bearded assassin that takes him out.
Yeah.
I would like it to just randomly
An
like
odd fellow?
people come in and then Cable just kills him and is like, this is done now. But I don't know. So we'll see. But Red Omega is awesome in this, and I didn't really know who the hell he was before, so now I do, and that's cool. So
He doesn't get a lot of use.
no, and he's really badass in this, and it's a good fight scene. So I don't know. I liked it. But I'm conflicted with myself about it. Boom.
So what is that? It falls under that category of if you put enough monkeys in a room with enough typewriters long enough, they're going to come up with a good story sooner or later. Is that?
I think so, yeah. And I think
Okay.
it's because it's the end of the run, they kind of have to do something more than I have a wife and a kid. So they actually have to. Well, and two, now that they have this whole thing of like we're killing Deadpool, they have to deliver that. So now we're getting that story more so than. But I still hate that he's like an emotional Deadpool and he like doesn't feel like himself. But they kind of quit that for a minute this episode I always call these episodes as if I'm watching a movie or TV show.
Well, it is serialized, so
Yeah,
it's the same
episodic.
thing.
Yes.
Well, I got the 2 big Deadpool fans here. What do you think of the death? What do you think of the death that's coming up?
It's another one.
Since you're asking me, it can't happen fast enough.
Well, yeah, I'm glad that they're ending Duggan's run, because, like I've said, until this issue, I didn't like it, and I want a different writer on Deadpool. But, it's, it is what it is. I just don't understand how
So
you...
there's 2 more issues left?
There's 3.
Oh, so it doesn't end in April. Okay.
No, it'll end in my birthday month, May. Maybe on my
May
birthday.
birthday's right here. Team May.
There you
Because
go.
I was just suspicious that it would end in April, and of course, it being April and April Fools, we would get.
Yeah.
Okay, what I mean though, do you think
That's pretty good.
they should give it a year to bring him back, or should he stay dead for a week? How long do you think?
Well,
It's
I think they're
Deadpool.
gonna have her like they did Return of the Living Deadpool, which is awesome, and so I think they're gonna have him in comics at stuff.
Mhm.
Like I don't see them, especially with the Deadpool movie coming out and how big of a character he is. It would be like killing off Harley Quinn right now. Like it would be stupid of them to not have like 4 shots or limited runs with him in it. So I really don't know. I mean, if they're going to commit to it and just totally kill him like they killed Wolverine off, then...
Well, so he's dying basically the time Secret Wars starts back up, right? With
I guess
Secret Wars, when the Secret
yeah.
Wars thing kicks in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
the book's
they kinda
ending in
have
time
to-
for Secret Wars. So I would guess coming out the other side of Secret Wars.
Yeah.
He
Something
shows
will
up as
happen, he'll pop
he
up.
shows up as Agent X out the other end or something, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That'd be amazing.
Because we don't want a new storyline. We just keep the old ones, right?
Whatever. That's the best recycling I've heard yet. Do that and bring back the Slingers, and I'll be the happiest fan. I'll buy every
Gail
Marvel book.
Simone write it, and we will be.
See, I can talk Deadpool. Ugh.
Are you picking this up, Travis, at all still?
Anything else? No.
Yes, Vader.
Go ahead. Talk Darth Vader.
Oh boy.
What issue is this? Two?
Two.
Does he dialogue in this one?
Oh boy. Does he? Let's see. Where is it? I'm kidding. It actually is a lot better than Star Wars. Yeah.
No, this is awesome.
It seems, though, what's going to hamper this is Star Wars. Because that's going to be the main story, and that's going to be everything like that. And it's going to dictate what happens in this comic. And I think that's going to hold it back quite a bit. That's the only thing I'm worried about. He actually speaks like Darth Vader in this. It doesn't come across as cheesy or I don't know what the term I want to use. In Star Wars, his dialogue's terrible. He's a badass in this, and he seems to have his own agenda in it, outside of the Empire, outside of everything like that. And you've always had that feeling about the character.
Sure.
And so I'm liking that they're exploring that a bit more. I don't know that... I mean, he is a little bit wooden, but Darth Vader always has been to a degree. I've always felt that, you're not going to get a range of emotion out of the character. So, I don't know. What do you think, Stacey?
I like the fact that he screwed up.
Yeah.
And the Imperial is mad at him. And so now he has to... Yeah, I like that they gave him a flaw and that he's not like this, super perfect villain, if that's a thing. I also really love the fact that they have to put somebody in charge of him.
Yeah.
And that he's like, you think you could put somebody in charge? Like, I'm Darth Vader. Like,
Yeah.
you're stupid. And I like the fact that he totally is smart. And I said this in my review video, but I like that when disaster is struck and everybody is like, we have to, like, there's nothing we can do. He's like, there's always something we can do. And I think that is why I love Vader so much, is because he does not give up. Like, he just does what he has to do. He doesn't, give any shits about it, and he just gets it done.
It's awesome.
It is awesome, and I love Vader, and I do agree with you, though. I picked up the very first issue of Star Wars, and was like, this is not great. And I was hoping that it wouldn't tie in, and then you see the flashback to the end of the first Star Wars issue in here. Or maybe that was in the first one. I don't remember.
No, it's in this one.
It is in this one, yeah. And I was like, if they just kind of make picture references to start the Star Wars run, I'll be okay, because I think that where this is going, it's kind of going in a different direction than the Star Wars book, because I'm not reading Star Wars, so I don't know. But yeah, I was just, I knew they were going to tie it in, because why wouldn't they? Because then it gets people to read.
And you kind of touched on it. The scene, so he has this guy that has to kind of watch over and make sure he's not doing anything wrong. And the rebels put a self-destruct on. So he's like, everyone off. And he starts to leave. He's like, no, you're in charge of watching me. You have to watch me. And this guy is panicking, sitting on there. And Vader's just cool, calm, and collected doing his mission.
That has to be an absolute shit job. Your job is to watch Darth Vader.
Yeah. It's just, yeah. And Vader's just cool the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, now, does it feel like a villain's book, though, or does it make Vader feel like a hero?
No, and that's what I like about it, and that's also what I said in my review video, is like, I mean, if anybody wants to know more about Darth Vader and wants a legitimate Darth Vader story, this is awesome, because he's not just a bad guy. Like I said, he kind of fucked up with the Imperial, or the Empire, and they're kind of mad at him. So it's like he has to make this right. And Boba Fett, he kind of he hired Boba Fett. So there's a lot more to this than just Darth Vader is bad. It's definitely more of I'm Darth Vader and this is my story, and I love that. So no, I would definitely say there's way more dimension to him than it sounds like there is in Star Wars. So I'm really glad I didn't continue reading Star Wars, because I think I would be angry, because that was a very wordy book. My God.
He sounds like an 80s villain in Star Wars.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
lines. I almost picture him being like, "Enjoy your fall" before he pushes someone off something. Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So this is written by Kieran Gillian, is that right?
Correct. Which, come on.
Yeah.
Are you ready to talk about the awesome book, Matt?
Oh, we get to talk about a book I bought? Sweet! Anybody else?
Come on!
No, man, I couldn't get it when they raised it $1.
Come on!
Well, it's worth it.
It really is.
Probably is.
Why don't you start us off?
I like the idea that Matt Murdock, Daredevil, throughout this, thinks it's all about him throughout most of it. And he takes it on himself. He thinks this villain is out to get him. And his ego gets in the way of the situation. He's very much, I hate to use this term because I think it's so stupid, he's very much the white knight for his partner in this. And she's actually the one that the villain's after the whole time. And I don't know.
Twist.
Yeah, that's the twist. But and it factors in a lot of social media and things like that into it, and things like perception of social media. It actually is kind of a deep comic for just a single issue. It covers a lot of social aspects to it that I think are obviously hot button, at least among us right now. And I think this book just continues to deliver on such a good level. I don't want to step on Matt's toes because I think he has some very good points about it if you watch this video, so I'll let him take the floor.
Oh god, I have to remember what I said.
It's well, you know what? They're recorded, so go to his channel and watch it.
Oh, sweet, now I don't have to plug myself. Well, I love the fact that she's so excited to like have an arch villain and just like revel in this whole thing. And at one point when he's like,
who is this? This is his law partner?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
love partner and law partner.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because it's Matt Murdock and
Right.
he can't help it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's this line in here where she says, "Do you want to do some dare-splaining?" And it's just pitch perfect.
Yeah.
Just because this guy's out to get her, and he's trying to be like, "Well, no, you don't want to deal with that." She's like, "I can handle myself. Let me deal with this." And she's just on the level. It's just cool to like see a character that's on the level. And then after all that, there's kind of a big villain reveal at the end of the comic. At that point, I don't really care because I'm only really digging the main characters and what's going on between them.
They've done a good job in this series overall of kind of rotating in and out the villains without it feeling like an older style of comic. And yeah, I don't care about him, the villain, but I also want to see where it's going. But I think that's almost swept to the side with the commentary in the comic. It's not heavy-handed at all. It's done very well, and it flows well storytelling-wise. You don't feel like, okay, we're stopping the story to tell you a message real quick. It goes right with the story well.
Yeah.
I can't. If you're not going to read it in singles, I definitely recommend the trades.
Is Wade's run ending pretty soon, or?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Is that like next?
But they haven't stated that, though, right? They haven't stated when it's going to be. Just that they're leaving at some point, Chris and Samney and Wade.
Okay.
Well, I think when the controversy came up, there was a solicitation that said the beginning of the end of their run. I don't remember what issue that was.
Okay.
Right.
but I mean, they've been on it for so long that.
Well, you know, the Marvel Universe is coming to an end soon, so.
Well, it's going to be really weird when they don't publish Daredevil anymore, so I guess we'll have to deal with that.
That, you know how funny though, and how much crow you'd have to eat if they just did something ridiculously stupid and really just had the universe end. The
Yes.
company folds. They just walk away.
I would I'd enjoy that video.
We're not even making the movies. It's over.
Yep. This is done. We're done. We're packing it up. Universe is done. No, I just see it as being. I mean, to me, that strikes me as being a logical place for them to be done with their run at. You know, as they go into this whole Secret Wars thing and come out the other side of it and put out what issue are on now?
13.
So they'll be 15, 16 issues in. They can just start over another number one.
Which,
Well,
when
I
you
mean,
look, when you look at it from a modern fan, that's actually a decent run. If you look at it from a fan for a while, that's a terrible run. That would be not even 15 years ago. That would be a non-successful run of a comic. If you discount the fact that it did run obviously for several issues before this run, it's just they renumbered it. But
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Renumbering's weird.
I mean, that's true. These guys have had a pretty healthy run. I mean, I can't remember what issue Chris came on the book, but Wade's been on it for at least a year before Chris was on the book, right? Because when the book first started out, I can't remember the artist that was on it, but at any rate, so if you put all this together in one run, because it really is one run.
Oh yeah.
You're talking 4 or 5 years with the books, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
because they came on right after Diggle and the whole Shadowland thing. God, it's been a while.
Yeah.
And it makes me so nervous for who's going to do it next.
Well, it's kind of been, I know I don't mean any harm to Spider-Man fans, but I always felt like I graduated from Spider-Man to Daredevil. I'm offending Matt left and right here tonight, man.
God. Can I just have one character that people give me crap for?
I liked Spider-Man, but I always felt
liked
like
Spider-Man, then I grew up.
Right. Then you became a real reader.
then I became a man. No,
Sorry, I'm a fake collector. I just get
Should we talk Spider-Man then?
Please.
Thank you.
Yes.
Let's move on.
Oh my god! Oh my god, this book!
You can talk Spider-Man with the adults. Take a drink. Yes.
Now, with the Spider-Man, much
I'll be
like
over
Matt
here.
mentioned also in his video, this was great because this is how you do a serious storyline where it doesn't touch anybody's book. It creates several characters. You get all of this fantastic story, art. It starts at a beginning. It has an ending. This is the epilogue on number 15. And I thought that was one of the things that we just miss out on sometimes with some of this Marvel stuff.
Are we done with Spider-Verse? Can I hop back on it now?
Yeah, this is the end of Spider-Man.
No, you're not allowed to hop back on until you read Spider-Verse.
But he wants to read some good kid comics.
Yeah, I gotta lower myself down to. Yeah, let me tell you. I read so much shit. Anyway.
So, Steve, did you pick this up? It looked like you had it.
Yeah.
I want to hear what you thought. Oh god. Oh no.
I thought it was okay. I don't know. I'm not as excited. I'm kind of glad it's over since I like the ending to Spider-Verse, but this kind of just it wrapped everything up. They had that fight with Superior Spider-Man, which I don't know if they're going to do anything else with the character that might, it might show back up maybe in Secret Wars or something. They do have some Secret Wars stuff in here. But I don't know. I just kind of just read through it and nothing really grabbed me. I don't know if I'm going to be reading this past, Secret Wars, when that whole Spider-Verse tie-in comes in. It's going to be months after this issue, and I don't know if I'm going to remember all the kind of fine details of what happened, and
Well,
I don't know. It was okay. I mean, it wasn't bad. It was just, it was just kind of just, I read through it and it's over. So.
I think that's actually an interesting point. And you could apply this to DC's Convergence. Do you think it's a good idea to have? I mean, DC's different reasons, but to have these kind of big breaks where the story is going to be interrupted, and then I obviously don't. But
yeah, I mean, like a lot of like that Spider-Verse stuff is going to happen like in what, June or May or something or whatever. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be picking it up. I'm probably not going to pick up Secret Wars. So, I mean, it just kind of, it doesn't affect me, but with this issue, I mean, it's nice closure, but nothing I'm really excited about moving forward. So, yeah, I'm still going to keep picking up Amazing Spider-Man. Like, the .1 issues are coming up, so I'm just going to, drop it off the pole and just pick it off the shelf, so I won't have to deal with it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
Matt, time to do damage control.
did anyone else pick this up? Or
I was just waiting until Spider-Verse was over because I didn't want to have to. But apparently you can just
stop
read.
talking.
Well, hold on. just clear this up for me. Can you just read the amazing part of that and not have to pick up any other comics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Okay. Kinda? Because I might go back and pick them up. I don't know.
Well, there's like an $80 Nimbus that's just gonna have the whole. So I'm getting that most people wouldn't like pick up on like so much of what's going on here because this is so steeped in like where Spider-Man's been for the past like 6 years. Like, well, not 6, like 5. How much? Dan Slott's run. We're talking long runs, right? Dan Slott's been on Spider-Man for a Claremontian amount of time, I'd say. It's just going and going. And this is playing with some of the stuff that he had from spin-offs of his book back when, like with the Spider-Girl that we're forgetting now, and she's getting to kind of take Madam Web's place, in a way. And now we're spinning off and you get to see where kind of Silk's going, even though I didn't read that book. And then, Spider-Gwen, which came out too, and, Spider-Woman, which they kind of already moved forward, but Marvel timelines, whatever. But it's just all crazy. But the biggest thing about this book was that it did a lot better job of creating a lot of the emotion and the Passover that we needed for the Superior Spider-Man when that happened about 15 issues ago. And so it took something that was a really awkward transition and made it more okay by me in rewriting, I guess. So that's the part of the reason I love this issue so much, even though this kind of felt like attack on, like, Spider-Verse was pretty much done. And then we got this, which is more of, like, dealing with the Superior stuff, and that's why I was so excited. Now I'm looking at, like, what the heck are they going to do next month that is going to matter? Like, it feels like it's just been so big, and now it's like, what's next? I don't know.
Do you think that Spider-Man needs to have a more contained story than this wide, sweeping thing next, in this next arc, just kind of more of a small, street level?
That's what they're going to do. Like, anytime... That's pretty standard Marvel stuff, right? Like, anytime after a big sort of deal, they kind of go back and kind of do a smaller, but more, like, probably, alter ego-centric story. That seems to have a good, like, rise and falls story feel to it. I can't think of too many examples where they don't do that.
I guess that is more of a DC thing. I'm back in good with them. All right, let's move on.
So, since we're on Spider-Man, did anyone get Spider-Gwen?
Yeah.
All right, Steve, start off.
Okay.
You have that. Yep.
I really liked it. There's Rico Renzi and Robbie Rodriguez on the art and colors is fantastic. I mean, the way the panels are just, there's so much detail to each panel. Also the graffiti that they used to bring in the villain Vulture was pretty cool. That what Spider-Gwen did to bring Vulture to her. The story was actually pretty cool because we develop a lot of plot or different aspects of the story that are going to be talked about throughout the issues with the new captain Frank Castle, her kind of relationship with Mary Jane's and the relationship with her father. So all this is pretty interesting. I really liked it, but I'm so cautious because I'm just like, as soon as I finished it, I read this twice and it read even better. A clock went in my head and just like, when is Spider-Gwen going to be in the 616? Like, I'm just waiting for them to just like.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what I was
just
going to
waiting
ask.
for that.
So this is set in a different universe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just like, with Secret Wars coming up, and we might get like maybe, this arc here, and then it might just completely just change. So I'm kind of scared that they're not going to let this universe this book just let it be for the duration of,
Build it up.
Build it up. But yeah, so that's really my only complaint. I mean, this issue was awesome. It's just the outside influences that kind of make me worried.
Yeah.
About it.
Did you say Punisher is in this?
He's a cop.
Yeah, he's a cop.
But it's
I'm
it's
glad
the
I
same.
didn't pick it up because I would have hated that. I love Punisher.
You have to take it in that it's an alternate universe when you take this.
Yeah.
book.
Yeah,
It's the same art team as FBP.
Oh.
If anyone's
really?
reading that, yeah.
Oh,
it's the exact
really?
same art team.
Steve, can
It's-
you show some of that art?
Oh.
Yeah,
It's
Here.
awesome.
it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Waka waka.
Yeah.
Does that get me on the screen?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so I mean, I'm into it for the art alone.
Mhm.
But
I might have picked it up if I had known that.
yeah,
So what really hit me when I was looking at it again was that the lettering in this comic was amazing.
yeah.
And it never hits me the first time that the lettering is amazing, but oh my gosh. If you love good comic lettering, you should check this out. I'll get it, no more sales.
That was like That was like an advertisement for Q-tips.
Oh.
No, I like that they're building her own little area. I mean, for me, I think if I hadn't read as much Spider-Man, okay, that's a good question. If you didn't read as much Spider-Man as you had, do you think you would like this more or less? Because I think there are those references thrown into the main universe or the 616. Do you think you'd like this better if you had a blank slate going in?
Well, it's not Spider-Man references. It's like Foggy Nelson and Frank Castle and like some other like those aren't really. I mean, I know Punisher first showed up on Spider-Man, but really over time he evolved to be his own character as you know things.
No, I'm being 100% serious.
I am too. I was just tying back to before.
So
Anyways,
right. So if you are steeped to some degree in the Marvel universe, you are those characters aren't going to mean anything. If you don't know Daredevil, Foggy's not going to mean anything. If you don't know Punisher or Frank Castle, it's not going to mean anything. They're just going to be characters with names.
But that was kind of my complaint, was the way these characters are played. They kind of were just characters, and they just were using the names for people to be like, oh, but it didn't really mean anything. So
Well, but maybe that's because Steven's right in the fact that we've got X number of issues, and she's going to be tossed into the regular universe with everybody else. So there's no point in investing in secondary characters because there's not going to be two Frank Castles walking around, right?
what about Nick Fury?
No,
That's a whole different.
Nick
I'm
Fury
jumping.
is junior
I'm
and
jumping.
senior.
No, I
Yeah.
want to see that comic now.
Castles?
The two
Junior.
castles. How will they ever get along?
Oh.
Wah, wah, wah. Anyway,
And there was another Spider book that came out.
what's that? Really?
Spider-Man and the X-Men. A 1-2 punch of a mace.
You couldn't even get through that, so...
No, it's such a great book. Like, every issue of this, and it's 3 issues in, this is like 3 years of your standard Marvel book anymore. It's not compressed, really, at all. They're doing a whole bunch of stuff. It's playing off the Wolverine and the X-Men book, and it is just... That's the best thing about this book. It's just moving. And they deal with the Mojo-verse in here. It's just off the wall.
So, did you
People should
read...
check it out.
Did you read Wolverine and the X-Men before this?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because I've heard nothing but bad things about that, to be blatantly honest.
Oh, I know other people who love it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's issue number 1 is in my giveaway pile the next time I give comics away. So
Well, now that I'm depressed, I'll be quiet.
not as a reward though. So
Maybe he's giving the gift of comics to someone because he loved it so much.
that's
You don't
right.
know.
Along with his Deadpools.
I don't own a single issue of Deadpool, so thank you.
I found the Gail Simone run or little thing. I might give it a read. I might pick it up.
Well, you can do it after this Friday when some of us right here talk about it.
Oh,
You can make your own informed decision.
are you doing like a hangout about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just me, Stacy, and Travis, unless someone wants to come in on Travis's side.
I think I'm going to put that on the bottom of the pile now. I want to.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Okay. What? We lost Steven. Hopefully he'll be back.
He got offended by us talking
That's
about
right.
that.
He's like, my cousin's Deadpool.
Jeez. Okay. So, any other Marvel books we want to talk about?
Not that I want to talk about.
And I won't pick on him.
Superior Iron Man, it was a comic book, I read it. Let's move on.
Does that mean it wasn't good? I mean, because people have been really digging on that book.
I've been digging on it, but they needed to go somewhere with it. It
Oh,
feels like it's very stagnant. I think they're really riding on their laurels. They've built this character. Let's pull the trigger. Let's see where this is going. I don't feel like they're really delivering what we were kind of getting promised with the preamble of this. And so, do something with it. It really, all it is telling how these two characters, Kid Abomination and Superior Iron Man, had an interaction in the past, or at least kind of in the past. It really was a filler issue. And I feel like they need to take the book where it needs to go.
It was that's like issue 4?
This is, I think, 5. Yeah, 5. I just think go somewhere with this now. We've built up. We get where Tony is now. Let's do something with it.
Okay.
Maybe people see it differently, but they're wrong.
Cool. I haven't heard anybody talk about it. I didn't realize it came out this week because normally I've been hearing people talk about it. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So no other books that Marvel books want to talk about? Any Marvel news? Anything that's like. The one thing I did hear, somebody on Twitter pointed it out to me, and I'm drawing a blank right now as to who it was that pointed it out to me. Somebody who watches the show, too. Marvel is changing their covers, or some of their covers anyway, going into Secret Wars. I don't know if they're going to give them a thicker stock, but they're printing them in a different fashion to supposedly it's going to pop the main featured art off the page more. Like it's going to be a higher res. The main image is going to be a higher resolution than what the rest of the cover is going to be. Somehow it's going to make it. I'm just hoping it makes it a sturdier cover, right?
So you don't see your thumbprints better.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because like we all know, Marvel uses the same stock for the cover that they use for the pages. It's the same material all the way through. And every other company uses a thicker stock for the covers than what they do, and it shows with all the thumbprints all over our comics.
Maybe it'll be like how they did the Death of Wolverine covers, because those were nice books.
Right, that's what the reference was. It referenced that, and I didn't know what those covers were like. So they were a thicker stock kind of a thing?
They're beautiful books. That's the best thing I can say about that entire run. They were beautiful books.
Yeah, they were essentially, like sometimes when you get a $3.99 at DC, you get that kind of thicker stock.
Right,
It was like that.
Oh. Well, that'll be cool as long as the price tag doesn't go along with that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Would you be shocked?
No, I wouldn't. No, I mean, I was just thinking about that right now. It's like, oh, okay, so they get a new cover. Does that mean we're going to squeak it up a little more because that's one of the places they were saving money at? I don't know. I don't know how I don't understand how that part of their business runs, I guess, to know.
Mm-hmm.
Any other Marvel? I haven't really heard anything about Secret Wars in particular. They haven't started writing solicitations for that, right?
They did.
Found a new bit of news that I'm excited about.
What's that?
They're apparently going to be restarting Runaways once Battleworld starts up.
Yeah.
But
Really?
it's not the old team, so
Yeah.
I'm less excited.
So
But
they're
it's
using
Noel Stevenson. It's Noel Stevenson writing it. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, as
Oh,
long
yeah.
as it's not Whedon.
Well, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go watch Firefly.
So they're going to use the name. They're going to use the name and
Mm-hmm.
and do a different story.
Yeah, where
It
did
was
it
such a
say?
good
Hold on.
comic, though.
So here's the characters it's saying: Sue Richards, Jubilee, Cloak Dacker,
Wow.
Amadeus
Okay.
Cho, and a young Bucky Barnes, Scar, as well as the new character, Sana.
This is a miniseries? This is a one-shot?
Well, it's a tie-in to Battleworld, so when it doesn't sell, it'll probably
Yeah.
only last about 6 issues. That's my prediction. It doesn't actually say that.
Maybe I don't.
That's in the solicitation.
Sue Richards is in it.
Yeah, which is weird because there's this Phil Noto cover, and I could have sworn it was the daughter, the way it's drawn. Here, I'll.
Maybe I don't remember the Runaways. Because that doesn't sound.
No, they were the villain, the children of the villains. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was the dinosaur and the.
Okay.
It's really
Okay,
good.
all right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's what I thought. And so what? This cast of people you just listed off to me.
Not it.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not just me. It's not just me that thinks that sounds weird. Okay.
Mhm.
You know, this is more like the Young Defenders or something. This is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could get behind a Young Defenders book. That would be fun.
It'd be more exciting if that was the title.
Yeah.
This is just such a bummer now. Oh well, I was excited.
I read the early on stuff. Did Whedon really take over at some point?
He
Yeah.
killed the book when he took a year and a half to deliver 6-ish issues.
Oh,
I say
wow.
6-ish because splash pages only count so far.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm kind of looking over the comments here. Tylex the Mighty says that he liked the Thor book. He liked all the stories. He thought the art fit well, and the drinking one was his favorite story.
An awesome video on that.
Christina continues to be one of my favorite people to watch the show because she just heard that Deadpool's dying. Good riddance. I like her. That works for me.
I'm starting to feel bad. Wow.
Let's see.
Okay,
here.
Matt, we will be the only two people.
Oh, there's an
Let's be
army.
friends.
There's an army of you people. So, let's see here.
Of you people? You
Yeah.
people?
You people. Yes, I said it. There you go. Kayla wants to know she's really like to get into Daredevil, but she's not sure if she should start with Frank Miller's run or the more recent stuff. Thoughts?
No,
That is a hard question.
Yeah.
Well, do not start with the Frank Miller stuff where he was just drawing it, because that is okay. Start with where he was writing it, and that's the only time I'll say that about Frank
I
Miller.
was about to say.
Yeah.
Somebody
No,
gave, I've never reading. That's a word I just used. My God.
Word, I like it.
Read Daredevil before. And my friend lent me his Frank Miller run, and I mean, I'm just not a Silver Age fan, so I only made it through the first book. But I will say this: it made me a Daredevil fan because I didn't know anything about that character, had no idea, and so after learning like his origin and that he's blind, I was like, this guy's kind of a badass. I really do like him. So I would say that for anybody that wants to start that, and if you like Silver Age, you might like it a whole lot more than I did. I still have to give him those books back, but I'm here in LA, and they're nowhere near there. So yeah, I started with those, and
Nobody got on during the Affleck run?
Yeah.
I like that movie.
Huh?
luckily for me, I missed those movies because I think I was too little. I didn't care, so I was not scared for life by that.
I went opening day, and I didn't take that well.
Same here.
Oh,
What is wrong with you guys? Ben Affleck is Daredevil, and you went, that's a good idea. Let's go see that.
What?
Yeah.
He's gonna be Daredevil and Batman and
Yeah.
who else?
Bendis' run on Daredevil is decent too, is it not? With Alex
That's
Lee
really
and-
good.
Yeah.
That's where Bendis
You know,
made his name.
yeah.
If you want to read a more contemporary written style of story, if the Bronze Age stuff is not of your liking, because those books are written differently than the books are now. Kayla, I don't know what your experience is of reading older material that's that far back. That might be a place to start too. Clearly, the run that's going on now, picking that up in trades or whatever, is excellent. I mean, it's either won the Eisners or has been nominated for Eisners every year since the run started. So I don't know how you go wrong with that, depending on what your opinion is of awards programs like the Eisners and whatnot. Yeah, so those would be my suggestion. I mean, either you go for the classics, you go for the Miller when he's writing, not just drawing, when he's writing. You go for the classics, or Bendis is the two places that I would, or I guess the latest thing too,
Yeah.
would
I'll
be
pick
mine.
this right up in trade when it comes out, because I am interested, and now that the new Netflix show's coming out, I kind of
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Oh.
Millie Akers commented on the fact that she was also recommending that the Mark Waid's run is a great place to start on Daredevil, and I know from listening to some of Millie's videos, I know she's a pretty big Daredevil fan, so I think she's read quite a chunk of it to know too. So
It's a great
There you go.
character. Great
Yeah.
character.
yeah, it is. I'm curious to see when Wade gets off the book. Who's next, and will they take the character maybe someplace a little different, just to try and separate themselves from the current run that's going on. So
Make it depressing again.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I loved that when I was a kid because I was in on the beginning of the Frank Miller stuff, and then the Man Without Fear becoming the Man Without Hope, and all of that, and it just got darker. That was enjoyable while it was happening, but boy, it went on for a really long time, didn't it?
And did a fantastic job of making it super depressing. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
You read that, you thought your life was bad. You read that, and it's okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. There's no other Marvel news. I think I hit most of the comments around that stuff. So what do we want to do next? Do we want to do DC, or do we want to hit independent books? Nobody cares. Well, let's do DC, so I can just talk Gotham the entire time, because all the books I bought this week are all Gotham-related books. So pretty sad. Where do we want to start? Let's start with Batman. Even though if you
Let's just have a little bat chat.
Okay, so we're doing another Bat Chat. For those of you who didn't watch Johnny DeCosta's channel last night, or if you haven't yet, go check out Bat Chat on there. We dig heavily into this book. I have the Harley variant cover because, well, it's got Robin's head ripped off. So down there. I'm not a big fan of variant covers either. Normally I just get the regular one, but I was amused by this picture, so I got it. I'm probably gonna go pick up the regular one because I want the regular cover. But Endgame's been awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's ask CDC since how he's got a mouthful of food.
I just swallowed. Haha.
Yeah.
This was good. I'm enjoying Endgame. I still feel that Snyder's best stuff was the Court of Owls stuff at the beginning of this run. I did enjoy the throwback to '89 Batman with that parade. I do think Batman should have reacted a little bit more to it. I mean, that's all his stuff. He knows that the cave's been completely compromised at this point, and yet he stays on his game.
Well, it cracks me up. Okay, so one of the huge things that happens in this, in my brain, Alfred gets a hand chopped off.
And no,
Yeah.
The Joker lops off one of his freaking hands, has a happy dance about it, and Batman's like, well, is he okay? Oh, okay. And goes right on.
That's his surrogate father, basically.
Like, dude. Yeah, we've got him locked in the armory. He's doing fine. His hand's gone, but he's okay. I don't know. That seemed awfully casual to me. I mean, I know he's the Batman, and he's stoic and goes on his way and whatnot. But that was shocking to me.
And how strong is the Joker to be able to chop through bone and all that with one swipe like that? That was amazing.
He's a mythological being right now, right?
Yeah. And the two, I guess that's Martha and Thomas dancing on that float. Is that what that's?
Yeah.
Okay. Am I wrong? Oh, okay.
That's how I would take it. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the penny, they're dancing on the penny.
So what do you think of the rogues or the villains just joining up with them like that? Do you think they would really all work together that well?
Maybe. They're all egomaniacs to some degree or another, right? If they're going to take the city down, they want to be the person that takes the city down.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be disappointed if somebody doesn't take this opportunity to backstab somebody else.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I see them all going, yeah, this is a great idea. When can I stick a crowbar in the back of somebody's head or something? I mean, I guess is why.
Crowbar's
crowbar,
Joker's
sorry.
weapon.
I'm sorry. But you know what I mean? I would almost expect there to be some sort of.
I would if this isn't supposed to wrap up in one issue.
Yeah.
There's too much going on.
I think
Yeah.
it's going to be an exercise issue. This last one is going to be.
I wouldn't be blown away one
Yeah.
bit.
Like $5.
What do you mean by that?
I think it's going to be a $5 issue. I think, from what I saw.
Oh, yeah,
So-
no question.
Um,
Save your
But you-
pennies, kids.
Are you
even if-
buying? Are you buying into this overall though? This whole Joker thing that they are doing. Are you buying into it? Do you think it's credible enough where you can?
Okay, when you say buying in, what do you mean? Which part? I mean, because I think depending on how you read the book depends on what they're selling you as
Yeah.
far as what the Joker is. So
Is it
you mean
is it a mythology or has he been around that long?
right? Is he of the Vandal Savage ilk? I mean, he's immortal. No, he's not.
mm-mm.
I don't believe that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody keeps referring back to those pictures that Gordon had of him, in the background throughout time, basically, the history of Gotham.
Which was a ripoff of Anne Rice. I'll give it to her. Sorry. Lestat. Anyway.
But no, man, because I think that stuff could be fabricated. I mean, they mentioned that actually in the story, they
Mhm.
fabricated and whatnot. The reason I think that it's just another story. He's just trying to create another whatever about himself because in the each of these issues has a backup story, and the backup story is somebody else's rendition of the origin of Joker.
Well,
So
and
everybody's telling an origin. I just think it's another.
my thing with it is the Court of Owls have been brought in, so those should be. And I don't want to get too granular, but if he were around that long, would they really put up with him for that long in their city? Really?
Well, if he's immortal, what are they gonna do to him?
They'll find a way. I mean, they wouldn't come up with some kind of containment plan by now.
They haven't gotten rid of Batman.
Good point.
I mean,
Batman's fairly new, though.
But I do understand what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying that yes, if they, with all the hundreds of years he's been around, that they would have, unless he's one of them. I don't know.
Well, no, don't. No. I would be so bummed out. And
He
you're probably
laughs.
right.
And, he laughs and pulls down his little mask.
Well, the guy with the I know he was attributed as another person, but he had the sickle.
Right.
I was like, if that ends up being the Joker, I will. He's the oldest Talon there is, and I was like, oh, they're not doing. I kind of had that thought, but
No.
you just reinforced it.
Well, here's my thing. I think that Scott Snyder is enough of a Batman fan and the origins of Batman and all of that kind of stuff. I can't see him as a fan radically changing something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost have a hard time seeing DC greenlight the Joker being changed into a superpowered being.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I just from
Yeah,
a
well, because then Batman could kill him and do more violence to him than he's done before. And the whole thing about Batman is that Batman and the Joker refuse to kill each other. Like, they don't do
Right.
it because if there's no Batman, there's no Joker, and vice versa. So yeah, I think if DC did that, I think then people would be like, well, then what is the point?
right.
So I
But-
don't think.
Yeah. But I will say that the game has changed. I mean, that's one of the things that's interesting about the end game, because in the death of the family, the Joker was clearly playing a game there, whereas now he's mad. It seems like he's mad now. It's like this didn't, the last time didn't go well. So now he's invading the space. He's breaking what seemed to be rules before. I mean, he calls Bruce. Batman calls up Gordon, and Joker picks the phone and acknowledges that he's Batman. Hey, Bruce, says hi to him. So he acknowledges that he knows who Batman is. And before, in the last arc with in the New 52 with Joker in it, the Joker basically refused to acknowledge that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And now suddenly he is.
Well,
So I get when people are talking about that the whole thing has been ratcheted up. Now the Joker, instead of it's a game that he's playing with the family and trying to show, hey, I'm your real fan, I'm your real friend. Now it's this whole other I'm going into your house. I'm going into the Bat Cave. I'm screwing with your stuff. He's taking it to a new place. So,
He's jilted.
but I still just can't imagine that he's actually going to be this indestructible person that they can. Now he can proceed to like blow him up or chop him up, and he's going to come back from it. Because now it'll be that just wrecks it.
Immortal isn't invulnerable necessarily, right?
Yeah.
So.
Sure.
But I don't know how I feel, because I definitely like the idea of the Joker with a certain point just being kind of like a psycho that you can't predict. Like, that's kind of the one through line of the Joker throughout the ages.
Right.
And to make him a mythological being, like, throughout Gotham's history, I think is an interesting idea, but I feel like at that point it's just a different character. And I like the idea of that story, but I don't like it being with the Joker necessarily.
Yeah.
Well, and they've told it. It's called the Court of Owls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're kind of I'm not saying analogous, but I'm saying they brought that in. They brought that kind of mythology to Gotham, and so they don't need to tie the Joker to it, in my opinion. And he has other immortal villains. Joker should be on his own. Joker should be his own thing, and it should be ambiguous, in my opinion.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. That's where I think it should have too. So for me, I think the next issue, it's going to show this is game. He's clearly juiced up on something right now, more than likely. That'll get resolved in some case. I really, really kind of hope that they catch him and throw him in Arkham for a while,
or kill him.
I would like to see that, and they're not going to kill him.
I know.
They're not going to kill him, but I would really like to see him actually get thrown in a cell for a while.
You hear that, IGN? They're not going to kill him.
Well, I know there are people actually, out there on the official, review
News
sites and whatnot that are, it's called Endgame for a reason. Yeah, okay.
Well, they have clicks to bait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do I. More views. So, anything else you want to say about Batman? I'm loving Endgame though, as a whole.
Yeah.
It got good this issue. The first couple could have done without. Waste of time. Would have been better if they got
the Justice League thing.
What a waste.
I liked it.
Do you think they could have done more? Well, I'm sorry, we're moving on, but I think they could have done more with it if they were going to do that.
They could have just not done it.
Well, my question is where's the Justice League at now? Because why haven't they come back to kick the
They're in
holy
the
hell
hospital.
out of them?
They're getting past the vapors.
They're still juiced up. Huh?
What are you,
Joker
from the
juice.
20s?
Okay, what other DC books do I want to talk? Somebody else bring up another DC book.
The vapors. Anyway.
Anybody else read Batman Eternal?
Yes, I did read Paternal.
Paternal. Anyone else read Paternal?
Nope.
No,
I'm not
everybody
ready
else is
to do
smart.
this
Everybody
again.
else is smart enough not to be on this weekly book.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot to say about it that isn't the same stuff I've said for the last couple weeks about Batman Eternal. It still feels to me like it spends a lot of time just kind of spinning its gears, and the Rogues Gallery show up again in this, and I don't think they're used very well. And we're just kind of biding our time, right, Matt? We're biding our time until we get down to the last issues to finally tell us who the hell it is.
Well,
Because clearly Batman isn't smart enough to figure it out.
The world's greatest detective.
Well, you say the rogues thing too, like it's just like that, like it's the Flash rogues, and that would have been such a better element for them to bring in, like if the villains were actually working together and talking, kind of backstabbing, but like in their own little club, but they're just kind of out and about, and that's what really tears this down. Because that could have been cool if they just wrote a story, I guess. I don't know.
Over the past few weeks, as I've listened to people talk about this, it sounds like it's very consolidated, where I thought this was going to kind of be a book that would feature different characters. And it sounds like every for like the past month I've heard, we're just going to find out who's all behind this several times. So it sounds like that's kind of been stagnant. Am I wrong?
No.
No.
Nope. That's what it's been. It's truncated. The story is almost completely truncated down. Occasionally, you'll have a brief scene with with Spoiler or Bluebird, just barely there kind of a thing. Mostly it's Batman bouncing from place to place, and Penny too, chewing in his ear about something as they go from one point to another point, going, I don't know who it is. I don't know who it is, and that's really what it is. It's become really unfortunate. So, what?
Matt, rebuttal?
No, hush.
Oh, hush. Yeah. Except somebody breaks into the cave. Somebody knows where the cave's at. Breaks in and lets Hush loose. So.
I feel like we were just talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Ugh.
So nothing would save this weekly series from nothing would change your opinion right now.
One thing could.
Well,
if
no.
Deadpool magically showed up, I would love the book forever.
No, you say that, and all I pictured was the video Travis would make, and I want that to happen now.
There you go.
Yep.
Oh. I don't know, Steven. I don't know what that would be. I mean, clearly, they could have a consolidation of the creators that are on this book, have some incredible epiphany as to how they're going to nail these last 4 or 5 issues out, and they could make the end of this thing, split our heads open with who it is that's behind this whole thing and make us just go, what?
Mm-hmm.
It was Martha Wayne the entire time? I mean, they could do something that would just, totally, blow us away. Are they going to do that? I sincerely doubt that. And I would still go, ooh, there's at least one trade's worth of material in here that is not worth reading.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you think they should have not had as many issues as they did of this?
Yes.
Yeah. They lost steam and kind of a actual moving forward game plan quite a while. You could tell when they started getting close to the timeline in Batman Eternal that matches up to Batman, what was that, 28 or whatever it was, where they gave us that flash forward of what was going to be going on. They got up to about that point and the book just ground to a nothing.
I guess it was around that point, yeah.
Yeah. And just kind of, and from there on now it's just kind of, it's sputtering and doing nothing, really. It's unfortunate. If for no other reason than the dollar value that those of us who are buying it are putting into it when it being a weekly book.
It's not over yet, but do you think you'll buy the next one?
No.
No.
I don't think there's anything they could do in this book at this point. Even if at the end of this thing I go, oh, that's cool, that's a cool person for it to have been. I don't see how they're going to write that to convince me to get another one. There's just no way. I can't imagine. Unless the next one they say they have a better plan of these are the people who are working on it, and this is how it's going to be, and it's not going to be inconsistent in some fashion. I just can't imagine. I just can't imagine what that would be. That would make me think that I'd want to do it. There's too many other. If I want to read a Batman book, there's too many other out there.
Yeah.
So, no. Any other DC books you want to talk about? I can talk about this. I can talk about this incredibly controversial one.
Oh boy, yeah. No, go ahead.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This canon shattering, as the internet tells me, issue that's fundamentally changed Catwoman forever, and I don't know what else I saw about it. I'm really liking this. I'm really liking this book. I'm loving it a lot. Valentine, the writer, has this really interesting way of delivering Celine, making her an extremely intelligent woman who's playing an incredibly deadly game of chess with all of these crime families. And she is currently on probably the wrong side of a razor-edged knife right now, as a gang war is about to open up. And of course, what her original plan was to consolidate all the families and kind of get things fixed coming out of Batman Eternal, to try and level Gotham out so it's not crazy and dangerous for the standard street person living on the street. And what looks like it's about to happen is it's all going to backfire in a sense, and it's going to be wholesale war amongst the crime families potentially now. While that's going on, this whole controversial thing that's in here, spoilers for anybody who hasn't had it spoiled for them already on the internet, There's a woman from and I can't remember the name of the family's name. They're a Japanese family, crime family. It controls the docks. The daughter of the head of the family has been dressing up as Catwoman because Selene doesn't have time to be Catwoman. She's been dressing up as Catwoman and kind of playing the Catwoman role in a sense, and kind of goading at Selene because she knows that Selene was Catwoman, goading at her because she feels like Selene's walking down a path that she shouldn't be down. That she felt like Catwoman was doing some good in the world, and as Selene, crime boss person, maybe she's not. So she's kind of doing that thing. And at one point, they're talking to each other. And this is probably the last time they're going to talk to each other because she's part of this little crime family that's actually going to come and attack her. And Selene could snatch her up and use her as a hostage. She's in her cat costume, and Selene kisses her. Not some big, tongue in mouth, slobbery all over the, well, it's not like the scene we get in Catwoman issue #1 of the New 52, where they're two people half naked across. Sure, but they kiss. I mean, it is a kiss, and the girl goes, "Are you kissing me or are you kissing the outfit?" And she goes, "I don't know." And then the Catwoman character runs off, and she goes, "But maybe I might want to find out." And that's it. That's what it is. Now, so my question is, I don't know how steeped in Catwoman lore and knowledge you are. Is that out of character?
No. I wanted something. Come on, you can do better than that. Make up something so I can be pissed.
I'm sorry. That's what I didn't understand. I mean, I'm like, okay, that's not, I don't know. I mean,
it's people who don't read comics that are like, outrage. It's like with Walking Dead. On the show, and it's like, if you don't read the comics, you don't know.
I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen. I can't remember, and I clearly haven't read everything of Catwoman. I can't remember seeing her like truly being with another woman per se. But certainly, this was to me. This is like within her wheelhouse. It's not like that. I mean, to me, it seems intuitively just kind of what she. I don't know. It just didn't seem that odd. I don't know.
It's like a super sexual character.
Exactly.
And so it's like when you have somebody who's that sexual, obviously they're going to play both sides, even if it's not, shown on every page. So I think that if you've read Catwoman before, or if you even know the character or have seen the Tim Burton movie, you always have that in the back of your head. Like, yeah, she's probably bisexual because why not? Also, Catman is also maybe bisexual. So, I mean, it's a thing with cats. I don't know. But for people to get really up in arms about this is so stupid.
Right. And that's
I better go check on my cat.
Okay. No wonder cats are so laid back. Huh? Anyway, so I didn't think, to me it wasn't that big a deal. Plus the fact the way it's delivered, too. I thought it was delivered really well. It wasn't like it was like she was suddenly, like I said, it wasn't like the first issue of this run, where she's, half naked rolling across the rooftops with Batman. It wasn't even that. You know what I mean? It was I don't know. And clearly, I don't know because there are issues prior to this where she talks about just how much she misses the whole cat outfit and doing and being that. I mean, I think her legitimately saying I don't know, I think is pretty I think it's a pretty on the nail for where she emotionally is at in the book too. So
if you could articulate the complaint, it's essentially the sexual nature of it, or is it? See, I'm not quite understanding.
It was both. The complaint is that's not Catwoman. She's never been that. What I read is that it's flying in the face of canon, because clearly she's into Batman. She's not into.
Well, Batman's not there for her.
Yes, I know. I mean, you're laughing, but I mean,
she's a human being. If I could only be just attracted to one person and that's it for the rest of my life, my whole canon, if you will, I'd jump off a bridge. Like there was no Sorry to be realistic here, people.
Right.
You go out in your day and you go, that's an attractive person. That's an attractive person. You don't just go, that one person and that's it. She kissed somebody. She's a mob boss. She kills people, and your problem is she kissed somebody.
Right. Well,
people are getting neckties by her.
Well,
right.
Actually,
And then if we want to take it the next step further, then there's the dude bros who are going, you're screwing up another comic by suddenly making her diverse because now she's suddenly bisexual instead of being a hot straight lady. That's the other roar that's going. But I don't really like to acknowledge that one that much, just because.
So that being attracted to one person thing, though, that's what you call a stalker. And if she's Batman's stalker, and that's what they're upset about her giving up.
You actually just nailed it. You just nailed it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh.
I don't know. Yeah.
When people complain about such trivial things, I'm like, there are far worse things in comics. Like, I just read Preacher and that poor chicken. Like, there are far worse things in comics.
Just keep reading Preacher.
Oh, I was
about to say, you haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah. I know. I like dark stuff, but I was like...
I love that comic, but it does not pull any punches.
I love it. I'm very excited.
Well, like I said, the whole thing got spoiled for me. I actually got in an argument with Newsarama about it. Newsarama put a tweet up because I mistakenly followed them. They put a tweet up that says "the kiss," and they show a picture of the two of them kissing, the two characters kissing. And I go, "Oh, thanks for the spoiler on that," because they put it up Thursday. Of course, I don't get my books till Friday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm like, and they send me in Twitter. They send me a direct message saying, "How did we spoil that?" And I go, you said it's a kiss, and you show the picture. But you don't know who's in that picture. And I'm like, well, the girl in the cat suit is blah, blah, blah. And the other woman is Celine Kyle, because I actually read the comic.
Well, that's what Newsarama does.
You show a picture of them kissing, that spoils it for me.
Internet 101 right there.
Well, it's like, I'm like, come on. But they spent like 3 messages trying to tell me that there's no way I could know from that. And then after I explained literally I know who these people are, then they gave me the the political, oh, thank you for your input, we'll take that into consideration the next time we do something. Not to out Newsarama or anything, but I thought that was kind of like...
At least you actually contacted them instead of Bleeding Cool just like jumping down your throat when you weren't talking to them.
Oh, well, you got to make sure you call them something else. You don't say Bleeding Cool. Or Rich Johnson. Rich Johnson. See, this video will blow up now because we said his name, too.
Yeah.
Not that I do and I don't have things against Bleeding Cool, so we'll leave that at that. Any other DC books you want to talk about? I'll slide down the rumor mill rabbit hole.
It was bound to happen.
I know.
We know. We had to talk about it at some point.
Yeah. But no. So yes, the excitement over that whole thing, and oh my gosh, to me by the time I got the book, read it, it was nothing. It was not that big a deal.
This isn't my channel, or else I would save my piece right now on that. Yes, I did get Gone by Midnight. Yes.
Oh, okay. Can you see this cover? I don't know. At any rate, it just...
Wow, where's that coming from?
I don't know. At any rate.
If you look at it fast enough, it's hilarious. But...
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But at any rate, what'd you think? What'd you think?
Of course, I'm enjoying the art. I get that this is still early on in the book, but I don't know what the direction of the comic is going in. It seems like it's just throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to read that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did you see that, or else did I look like a psycho?
No. Those of us, just to let people know who are watching, those of us in the Hangout, if you send a chat to somebody else, it now pops up as a little word balloon off the person who's talking.
Oh.
And so it's marginally distracting to suddenly have Matt popping up some word balloon about teeth. Anyway,
I'm liking it, but the first arc was very interesting, and it seemed very paced well, and all of that. What was the point of this issue?
When you say the first arc, you mean the first 2 issues, right? That tie up the whole. the kids in the swamp, which really is part of a bigger story that there's some evil rolling in that talks in this language that, of course, you can't. I mean, I personally can't even read it in the speech bubbles when it's being yammered. So, what was the point of this? Just so we could finally see the Spectre actually go Nova, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what happens in this issue. The Spectre actually finally pops out in this issue and just consumes everything in a wrath of holy justice, right?
Yeah. Which I liked. I liked that to a degree, but I as a fan, I read it, but as someone that's looking at the writing of it, I kind of was thinking, was that all this is?
Well, it's the evil is finally. I mean, okay, so clearly, whatever this evil thing is, I mean, the part I got out of this is clearly whatever this evil thing is, it's deemed Precinct 13 as being a threat because I mean, it actually is poisoning the Jim Corrigan.
With alcohol.
Jim Corrigan, with alcohol on top of it all, Jim Corrigan and the guy who is investigating them,
the poison is alcohol.
Right.
From the being, it somehow manifests alcohol into them because that guy only had a drink because he's giving Corrigan crap for saying like, you said a drink, you've had several.
Right.
So
I mean, so I know that's part of the story too, but otherwise, this is basically that's what this issue purely is. It's just a place for them to, release the Kraken and, so we can finally go where the hell's the Spectre, right? Because they've been kind of toying, giving us little glimpses in flashbacks of the Spectre, but not really giving us the Spectre. And here we've got it now. And so now I'm curious to see what the consequences are, because clearly Corrigan doesn't ever want to let the Spectre loose unless he absolutely has to, because
he has no control.
He has no control, and the Spectre has a very large blast radius as far as people that he deems unworthy and just annihilates. So, but yeah, it's it'll be. I mean, I'm still enjoying it. I'm curious because of course we got 2 more issues, and then Temple Smith is off the book, and we get the artist who's doing Colder is going to take over on the book.
I'm excited for that, to be honest.
So it'll still look cool. I mean, the book's going to still look cool, but I'm kind of with you in that I'm not 100% that I know story-wise what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm not reading Convergence, but apparently I have been this entire time.
Oh yeah, Future's End, right?
Did you realize that, Matt? Did you realize we were reading Convergence this entire time?
No, but suddenly I like Convergence.
Yeah. Outside of Frankenstein not showing up, I'm liking. Oh, come on. Were we gonna agree on anything tonight?
I mean, I'm sure he's coming. It just didn't bug me that there's so much in this issue.
Yeah.
Like, he'll be there. I see what you're saying. I'm just not heartbroken about it.
But, okay, I'm going to say I love this. I think it's great and all that. But what I loved about the series overall up to this point is they did what I thought they were going to do in Eternal. They took a lot of C and D characters and made them fascinating in this series. I feel like the A-lists are coming in right now and kind of taking over the book a little bit more than I would like. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. This was a Batman book, basically.
Yeah.
Except it was Batman Beyond, so it's cool. So.
Terry. Yeah.
And then. But,
talk about a kiss.
Yeah.
There it is. That blew
Canon has been destroyed.
Wait, who are they making out with?
Plastique and Batman Beyond. And the minute that happened, my mind went... Because I realized Batman Beyond was like all the Robins mangled together, and I was just so happy.
Yeah. It's funny because when I first saw the solicitations for this series, I thought it was going to be a Batman Beyond heavy. He's kind of in the background, but what they've done with him in this is make him have so much more dimension than he's ever had in the comic book world, at least. And he's been fascinating in this, actually. He's been a lot better. And I'm glad I decided to pick this up instead of Eternal.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, good call.
What did you... I mean, was it the last issue or the issue before that where Hawkman flew into that beam and it showed all the versions of Hawkman that ever existed?
Yeah, I think that was a couple... maybe I'm wrong, but that was weird.
Yeah.
And I thought I should read Hawkworld.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah. I think this is going to lead into Convergence. I think this is the catalyst for that series.
I think they said as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did you think about Tim Drake in here and the way they've been playing him? Because that's what's really been kind of taking me aback.
He's a completely different character than
Oh, yeah.
I've ever. And it's interesting because I want to know what happened, and they haven't really got it. I mean, they've obviously it's a comic, so they've let a little bit out, but there's still something that happened between him and being a superhero that hasn't fully been spelled out to me, at least.
Well, that's what's in the other book, right? The other weekly we're not reading.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, because that's the war that they're talking about in this one, is that other weekly book.
Oh.
Which, I don't care, but...
Okay, so it's not interesting. Because to me, what I liked about it was that he has that remorse and things, and that kind of angst towards superheroing. Like, it's not for him anymore, and I wanted to know why. But apparently it's stupid. All right.
They kind of show it a few issues back, where they kind of show the moment, but it's kind of brief, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that he's kind of grizzled now, too, and there's been a few times where he's kind of, by reflex, kind of been a superhero again, and been like, oh, like, I like that he's not instantly in shape and stuff like that immediately. It's taxing on him to do this stuff.
No, it's really cool, and he's not the only one who's grizzled, because they got the new 52 Superman back.
Oh.
Yeah, with the beard and the jeans.
Original costume, yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, the original costume as per new canon, right?
Yeah. It's just been a fun book, and I remember one of my things going into this was they're going to erase it all, and I thought that might taint the book for me. I don't care if they erase it all now. It's been a fun journey, and I think that's a successful comic overall. If you don't care overall, if they... Sorry, fans, shit changes. Don't get mad, because it happens all the time. If you enjoyed the journey, what's wrong?
Well, what's cool about this, though, is even if they kind of erase everything, like, there has to be a couple echoes from this book, like, going forward.
Yeah.
So it's not like... Yeah.
Some of it was weird, because I got to some of it, and I was thinking they should hold on to some of this somehow. I don't know how they would do it writing-wise, but this Tim Drake, I would like to see this Tim Drake around in the future.
Yeah, no, more Tim Drake's always a good thing.
Oh,
I didn't say that. I did not say that.
You
That's
set
what
it
I
up,
said.
man. You set it up. Come on.
He spiked it. All right.
Yeah, jeez.
Did you know that DC is making another weekly at this very moment?
That's what
too?
I was talking about. I thought. Am I wrong?
Wait, besides Convergence?
No.
Oh, you mean that? Oh, you're talking that
No.
weekly. Oh, okay.
Which week are we on? What?
I don't know.
The reason why it hasn't been really touched on this. Are you reading this too?
No, 2 weeklies is too much.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I don't read it.
No.
They haven't had anything to do with Earth 1 yet, or Earth. What you know what I mean?
Earth 2.
It's still there, and the world is essentially falling apart. And Thomas Wayne Batman is trying to track down Oliver Queen of this, and it's Oliver Queen with a beard, shockingly.
Well,
They give him a beard, and he's in this giant mech, which I thought was awesome. Him and Helena Wayne, who's back to normal for reasons that aren't explained.
Yeah, whatever.
Batman. I thought it was like the Arrow mech, and I was really confused.
No, it's just so they track Oliver down, and he's in this giant mech, and he's like, "Tell me the weapon that Batman gave you." And I'm like, "You're in a giant mech. What do you think it is?" They don't go into it, but it was kind of interesting because Helena's just barely starting to accept Thomas Wayne because she has a lot of anger towards him for not being there after Bruce died, because he's not immediately there.
Right.
And she goes off on her own journey to Earth 1, I believe, right? That was what's it called was about, with her and Power Girl, right?
World's Finest, yeah.
And so that their relationship is explored a little bit more. And the new Superman and Power Girl there's kind of trouble in paradise there. I don't really care about that relationship too much. But everyone else is either dying or about to die. And so I'm wondering now that after Convergence, what's going to be left? Because I thought Earth 2 was just going to be done for. They're going to cherry pick the characters they liked and move on. But apparently, Earth 2 is going to continue, even though it's literally falling apart right now. And I don't mean literally in the improper sense. The planet is falling apart. Yeah.
Huh.
It's been better than I thought, but it's still not something I'd tell anyone to pick up.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Any other DC books we want to chat about? No? DC news?
It's all ending.
Yeah. The same thing we said about the end of the last one. It's all ending, yes. It's a whole new universe coming out the other side, which is not true, but...
How amazing would it be if at the end of this they're like, and we're done with Batman. Done.
Well, that would
Move
end.
on.
That would end DC, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It really would.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Let's be real. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really heard anything too much coming out of the DC stuff. Other than if you've been watching the solicitations, I think the full solicitations are up for both issues of the 2-issue. For all these tie-ins that are going to go on during the Convergence thing. But beyond that, I haven't really heard a whole lot. So
I know I'm going to be reading the tie-ins in both of those events, but I'm probably not going to be reading either event. So, Secret Wars and Convergence.
Yeah. Let's see. You're looking over the comments. Luke, Batman video reviews, was saying that the art in this latest issue of Batman Eternal was beautiful, creative, paneling, and detailed. I did like the art. The art was really really sharp in this one. He also mentioned the fact that he might catch the weirdness with the Rogues this week. In Eternal, the Bat Family are fighting the Rogues, and in Endgame, the Bat Family are working with the Rogues. It does seem kind of crazy, doesn't it? So, Matt Kammer says that Geneva Valentine, that's the writer of Catwoman, has come out and said that Celine Kyle is bisexual.
Again.
Whatever. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's. I don't know. That announcement doesn't seem a whole lot, but I guess I can see. If you people that wants to create a controversy over the diversity thing around that, then I guess you could label it as the reason it's happening is because they think they need to represent bisexual characters. I don't know. I just don't know how much they're going to touch on that again, though. So.
Yeah. It's like something that never needed to be said, but was always there, and now they have to say it because of these people who are like, this is not canon or whatever.
Yeah.
No, I would have been more shocked if I found out she played the violin or something like that. I'd be like, I didn't know that about her. That's interesting.
Right. I mean, more controversial would be didn't you know that actually she's been a man this entire time?
Yeah.
Or she has a dog.
That would be shocking. Oh, yeah, she owns a dog.
Yeah.
She has a miniature schnauzer at home. That'd be something, wouldn't it? Holy cows. King Gooch is mentioning the whole from the Batman Endgame, the right-hand man. The irony of that. Of course, as he chops, the Joker says that as he chops off. He's talking about the right-hand man, and he chops off Alfred's hand. So.
I didn't even pick that up. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Let's see here. People agreeing with me. Cool.
On what, Travis?
On what? They're agreeing with me on the fact that King Gooch says that he agrees with Travis that Snyder won't mess this up. That he's got an amazing plan for the end of this thing, as far as them not totally changing the Joker into something that...
I am skeptical, but I hope I'm wrong.
Okay.
I'll be there either way, so... Sound me alarm.
Okay, so I think that's it for comments that aren't pretty much that aren't pretty much repeating the same stuff we just talked about. That and the fact they're laughing about the fact that Newsarama obviously doesn't read their own books. So.
Wait, what is this site?
Newsarama?
Newsarama?
Oh, they were like the first big geek comic culture site, I think.
Were they?
Big one I heard.
I don't know if they were before CBR or not, but.
Oh no, you're probably right. CBR probably does.
It's literally all one word, Newsarama.
I like Futurama.
Don't give them traffic.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they're a bad site at all. I just thought it was just a funny experience for them to,
Well,
like I said, to say the kiss and a link to their article about it with blatantly the what would be considered the big thing in the book.
well, it's
And
just
Yeah.
it's
and
indicative
to have-
of the internet.
And
right
to
now.
have whoever was running their Twitter account that day
Yeah.
try to engage me in an argument that they hadn't spoiled something, and it really felt like as I was having the disagreement with them about it that they yeah, I don't know if they didn't read the book or what, because it's no mystery. If you read Catwoman, that picture, it is clear as day. You know who those two people are. It's not like it's some secret thing. So.
Well, and I don't think, I mean, in my experience, I don't think if somebody, knows they're wrong, they're not going to argue with you about it. I think they're just going to be like, oops, sorry, we'll take that down. Like how Walking Dead did when they really messed up and posted that spoiler. I think, I don't know. It annoys me when it's supposed to be like a professional site and then they just argue with the people instead of like being like, oh, I'm sorry, like we'll take that down right away.
And that's kind of where I was. I mean, like I said, it didn't wreck the book for me. I was kind of just being a smartass to him more than anything.
Yeah.
Because it's not like a ton of other people, individuals that I follow on Twitter weren't talking about it. It wasn't like it wasn't already kind of there, but they are one of the official kind of somehow have credentials kind of site, and for them to do that, it's kind of like,
Yeah, no, that's just not super professional.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to indie books. What indie books do we want to talk about? I have a massive fistful, and I certainly don't need to talk about all of them. We want to talk about Suiciders first?
This is Vertigo, and Vertigo is DC. Why not transition?
Okay, sounds good to me. Who all picked this up? Steven, you picked it up too?
Yeah.
Awesome. This was not what I thought it was going to be.
What'd you think it was going to be?
I read the thing and I was like, okay, it's like going to be an apocalyptic, Los Angeles world. I'm okay with that. But then besides that, I was like, what are the Suiciders? I freaking love that they're like apocalyptic gladiators. It's kind of awesome. I really like it. I have a lot of questions still. Obviously, this is the first issue, so there's a lot of unanswered things. So I'm really looking forward to this. It's something different, and I like the fact. I'm kind of confused, though, on the last panel, like when the people are shot, the guy helping them, did he also shoot?
No.
No.
That's what I thought. He was just
his hand. Right, he's sitting there with his hand on the trigger in case it was going to go bad for him. He was prepared, but no, those are. He got paid, right? That's just meat that he moved across the border.
Exactly.
And they got screwed. That's how hardcore the book is. I mean, clearly, and with the art style that's on this, Remijo's art with Hollingsworth colors on it, it is incredibly dark. It's gritty. It has the same sort of feel as like if you're reading Lazarus. It's this, set in some, obviously, for me anyway, a lifeless, soulless future that just looks awful. I mean, it's cool.
It's Los Angeles, and I live here, and it's not too far from the truth.
Wow.
Let me know to go to LA.
So clearly, this is Stacy telling you all that she doesn't want you to come to LA because LA is a giant stink hole.
You guys, it's awesome. No, I also really seriously love the fact that in so there's this wall for people that are watching that. There's this wall, and New Angeles is where the Suiciders are, and it's like this, new civilization, and they value plastic surgery. I love that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, have you had work done? And I'm like, this is Los Angeles, guys. I'm not even like this is. I hear these conversations on. Oh, well, she just had work done.
Right.
So yeah, I was like, I think maybe because I live here, I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah. So the premise seems to be of the show. There was the big one, right? As everybody always talks about California, there's going to be an earthquake sometime, and something's going to fall into the ocean. And there was the big one, and it devastated L.A., and I'm assuming other places, but L.A. in particular, where the story is based out of. This is many years past, right? Was it that it says at the beginning, right? Is it like
It's
30
like 30
years?
Yeah.
Right. It's 30 years set in the future from that. They've built up a wall between the haves and the have-nots. The have-nots clearly are destitute and desperate to get to where the haves are. And we also have what they call the suiciders. There's basically a gladiator gym, and they fight to the death, it looks like, from the way this first issue is. And we have this main character who is called the Saint. There's some mystery around him. He is the champion, and he's kind of a mystery. People don't know a lot about him. We get a reporter trying to get more information out of him. There's clearly also something, kind of a generation gap. People they call a first generation, which are people who are alive and can remember when the earthquake hit 30 years ago, and those after, because clearly there's a different frame of reference of the world and whatnot. As far as that goes, and so it looks like we're going to get there's some mystery around this character and what he represents, and there's a lot of little interesting things that are going to be happening, I think, in this. There's some little writing stuff in it that I really, really liked. But
I'm excited to learn more about his backstory because I already like him. Like, I really like him as a character, and it's rare that without knowing anything about a character, I'm immediately like, yeah, I like you, I want to read more about you. So I think they did that well.
So do they have a name for this event that takes place where the gladiators go at it? Like, is it thinking like something like Hunger or something like that, or?
Well, they call it.
They call it the night of the match. They call it like the suicide night, and that's
And
that's
I'm
as much
trying
as we
to
get.
figure out where it's supposed to take place because I can't. And I was saying this in my video. I don't know of. I mean, I don't know of a big we don't have a football team here. We don't have a big football area unless it's like at USC or something. But I want to say maybe like the roof of the Staples Center just blew off, and that's where it's at. Because it's got some big arena. Yeah. Now I can't figure out where that is.
There. It's right. It's right here is where it's technically at. As far as that goes, they refer to it as a place that originally, when the big one hit, that's where everybody went. They went there as like a shelter kind of place, and while they're at the shelter, it sounds like chaos ensued. People were killed, massacred, and all kinds of stuff. So it's already a killing ground. They also hint that there is a barbaric version, that the people on the other side of the wall had their own version of the suiciders, and of course it's dirty and gross. I loved, part of the writing of this that I really loved is the sportscasters.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're awesome because not only are they typical sportscasters in describing the actual combat and stuff, their social commentary on the gross people on the other side of the wall is so perfectly done because it's done just tactfully enough to not be saying those gross people that live over there.
Yep.
But that's what they're saying, and it's so clearly in there, and it's so clearly corporate. It's they're part of a corporation. It's just
someone's feeding it to them.
Right. It's so perfect. It's so well written. I'm just like, oh my God, the way that these sportscasters are talking about how they're like, oh, you don't want to go over there, Jeff. You're right, Carl. It would be bad to be there. It's just so you're just like going, oh my God.
And it's totally not super relevant to what is going on. So it's a little bit as if John Madden cleaned up a little bit and was announcing.
Yeah. I mean, they're like I said, not only are they talking about the sport, they're also feeding their people, the political jargon. Those are bad people. We're the good people. And plus the fact we have this coyote. I'll call him a coyote because I don't know what else to call him. I mean, that's the people coming from Mexico across the border. In this case, they're coming from old LA to new LA, and these people are giving up everything to be snuck through. They get snuck through, and of course they get shot to death at the end of it.
Yeah.
And how do they know that the people are not there? One of the guys that's going over is disfigured. He's missing parts of some of his fingers. Oh. And so when the guards, it's either an accident or he was born that way, right?
Yeah.
Well, people in LA have plastic surgery. Nobody has disfigurements in LA.
Yeah.
So when they tell him to raise your hands, and the guy raises his hands, he's missing part of those fingers, they just go, oh, we know who you are.
Oh, that's messed up.
And they just slaughter him. You know, it's not like even questioning. They laugh and go, "Welcome to L.A."
Yeah.
Voice.
Yeah.
And do you feel like the I don't know, it's the main character, the suicidalist, the saint. He gives some really interesting answers because he has this reporter that's asking him questions, and she's kind of beating around the bush about stuff. And he's like, "Oh, you want to know when I was born? You know, am I beforehand or afterhand?" And instead of really answering the question, he gives a pretty politically charged answer too. A very what I would consider politically correct, if you're part of the LA crowd. To basically kind of say those people over there are dogs and vermin, and it's too bad that when the quake hit, it didn't completely kill them all off because the world needs to be cleansed of those people. I mean, he's embracing this whole sainthood thing to almost to a higher degree. And at the beginning of this, before he suits up, they actually show him praying in front of a crucifix.
So do they show the behind the veneer of this though? This politically correct, obviously fed system. That's
not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
There's not a lot. That's why I said there's a lot of questions that you have. I like, and it's so weird, but I liked House, the show, for the same reason. I kind of like the main character. You can tell he has an ego, and he's super he's just he feels very entitled because of all these people who are looking at him. But I think that's what makes him compelling, because I want to know how did he get to be so big? And there's obviously something, I think, very dark about him, and very I don't know, like he came from the other side. Or
that's
something.
what I think.
Yeah, and that's what I think is exactly what's gonna go down. And then I think there's gonna be some awesome conflict if they find out, or something like that. Because you're right, his answer was way too uniform and just way too perfect. And he seems too perfect right now. And I'm like, nah, there's something else going on. So
right, and I can see there's certainly be conflict, and it'll be interesting if he gets somehow he ends up getting outed that he is this other thing, because clearly he's like the Michael Jordan of the sport.
Yeah.
Everyone loves him. He's super great. He's brilliant, and so, I mean, it's like having your best sports star suddenly maybe get disgraced or whatever. I will say this, though, this cover, I don't get this cover, because this cover, to me, feels like it's telling me a different story.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, is this just some random fighter? I mean, we know who this guy is.
Yeah.
This is the guy that's the coyote. This
should have been the cover right here. This should have been the cover. That little one
that was
where,
that
should have been the cover.
Awesome. I stared at it for a good 5 minutes, and I was just like, the angels sang, and I was like, yes, it's so good. But yeah, so then after I read this, I went back and I looked at the cover, and I'm like, I think the cover is telling an overall story for what is going to happen. But yes, as a first issue, I looked at it and I was like, okay, because then you have this woman and her child back there, and I'm like,
right.
What exactly is happening? So I think maybe this is just like a page to show the entire story in a visual, which is really confusing, but nonetheless, this was awesome. So I was super excited. Wasn't what I thought. It was way better than what I thought, actually.
Yeah, same here. I was a bit apprehensive. I mean, I knew I was going to get it because I like the art and whatnot. Yeah. But I mean, I don't really care to read a Gladiator story just for the sake of it being just a Gladiator story. Exactly. But they, like I said, they put so much other great stuff in it that for me, the biggest highlight was those the sportscasters, and their lines were just perfect to feed all these little extra things.
They're like what's his name, Caesar from Hunger Games.
Yeah.
This is very if you think about it, it's kind of a lot like Hunger Games in a way. And it's kind of like that saying, kind of like how you have the higher society and then the people who they don't deem worthy.
Sure.
So, and I love that. So.
I mean, so there could be some criticism that they are tropes that we've seen before. It's not like that part of it's not treading new ground, but I think really well executed.
Yeah,
and
I think there will be other things that have not been done before or are refreshing and new. So.
Mm-hmm. Anything else anybody want to say about that? Needless to say, we're excited by it, right?
Yeah.
Go read it. If you were on the fence about it, I would say go. And I think I said in my video, if you're on the fence about it, go get it, because it's very muchly worth checking out.
Yeah. Okay. What else do we want to talk about? Mike, I say hanging up bodies. Oh man.
Yes.
Are you
Know
sure?
that you are loved.
Yes, know that you are loved. Are you sure you want to talk about this?
That's Vertigo too, huh?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is Vertigo Book 2.
Yeah.
This is issue 8 of 8. This is the end. This
Yeah.
is the end of this glorious romp through time and
That is a creepy cover.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's some awesome art in it. Every 4 different timelines. Each timeline has a different artist. The art was great on all of them. They all captured a mood really well and stuff. This issue, not really meta. Wouldn't we say?
Yeah.
You want to talk about it, Mike?
Oh, what more is there to say than I am Saucy Jack and I have come from hell?
That's right.
It is. I think it's been nearly impossible for me and Travis to explain any of it.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And the very end, it got even more so. Because, I mean, you're going through 4 different storylines. I guess I'm gathering that it strongly became about faith and about renewal after apocalypses. Is how I was getting it, Travis. That,
Or preventing the end. Yeah. Harvesting. Basically, there's some play in here about how we as society have kind of somehow warped the harvest into being about death in some sense with the Halloween stuff and those sorts of things. And this individual is kind of, it's all based on stuff that he's been doing for forever, it seems like. And society's kind of molded into other stuff, and he slowly takes it back in his own way, in that really the harvest is about the bounty, it's about the renewal, it's about having the food, it's about having all of that stuff, and that's what them finding this body is all about. It sets up a chain of events for that to happen on a world scale, because in the future, like in the future story of this, a energy pulse has been going around the world and has been scrambling everybody's brains. I mean, nobody has a clear thought in their head. And through this whole process of this harvest, they destroy the thing that's making that happen and free the people up and whatnot. I don't want to say a whole lot about it in case people are wanting to pick it up and trade. I don't want to completely screw it up because there's no way to really talk about this without that. Mike, do you think it's a satisfying ending? Were you satisfied with the ending of it? Yeah, right?
Yeah, I
am and I'm not. I am and I'm not.
I'll have to give it like a week of thought because, I mean, it was, like I said, I read it twice and I had to really sit and think. I turned off music. I had to kind of just like think about it. And it is. If you're looking for a book to really make you think, read the thing. Question everything. I mean, it keeps feeling like it gave you just enough to get you to the next issue, and so it never felt slow. It felt like it was paced well, and it kept feeling like you were going to solve it until you get to the very end, and then you were still a little confused on
because there was nothing to solve.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. There was nothing to solve. So,
would this read better all at once, or do you think the monthly? Okay.
I think you desired it a lot in between issues because it definitely had a huge build-up. You know, I felt like each month I really wanted to read it. It was one of my first reads.
Mm-hmm.
But I think together you start to understand it better. And, I mean, I liked it, Travis, because not everybody got a redemption story.
Right. Definitely. Does it read better in trade? I don't know if it would read better in trade. As far as between the monthly, it wasn't for me anyway. It wasn't like reading it. I felt like I needed to go back and read something else again before I read the next issue. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like I needed to be informed all at once to get to the ending. The ending was just much different than what your expectation. Okay. I think at least mine, I'm assuming maybe Mike's too, our expectation of what we thought we were reading at the beginning, it was a mystery. And it clearly is a mystery.
Murder mystery, yeah.
Right, it's a murder mystery. You find this dead body, you find out it's got ritual markings all over it, and so then it's in 4 different timelines, it's happening in the exact same place, in these 4 different timelines. So you're thinking, how is this all going to mesh together? And it does. It does. By the final issue, some of it does bleed together in a sense. It all is the same event happening in different times, and there's a message in there. And I don't want to tell you really what that message is.
No.
And part of it ends up being kind of like, it almost felt like part of it was a love letter to England, to Great Britain.
Yeah.
In a sense, right? I mean, because there's some parts in there where it's like, you know, they talk about kind of like about the British psyche, and now I want to know if Cy Spencer is British himself. That the British psyche kind of is, for what they deliver in this book anyway, is that they kind of when the outsider comes to Great Britain, they kind of push against the outsider until the outsider is the underdog, and something really bad happens to the underdog, and then everybody gets behind the underdog, and then that underdog gets incorporated into becomes part of Britain, and they embrace it wholly, and then from that point forward, it's part of Britain. It's kind of what this, to me, how it felt like it was delivered, and I liked that part. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I mean, that makes England sound kind of cool. I mean, awful in the fact that they're going to push you out forever, but once it reaches that breaking point, then suddenly you are part of Britain from that point forward, and that's what it is. I mean, I liked the ending of it, but I haven't 100% decided if I'm completely satisfied with it. There are bits and pieces of it that I really liked.
Cy
They were
is
really satisfying.
Cy is British.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I do think the biggest problem is we were expecting something coming in. What was delivered was great, but I think we often talk about it. We wanted the other story.
Yeah.
You know, we wanted more than murder mystery, and I think that's always the problem we've had with a lot of independents is especially when you don't know what you're getting going in, you expect something, and if you don't get what you expect, no matter how good it is, you still feel like you've missed a little something.
Right. Mm-hmm. Which I don't know if that's a lesson to us to not put this is what the book's going to be, and then when it's not that, then I'm not satisfied. I'm upset because I didn't get the delivery of that. I don't know. I still enjoyed it. I still really enjoyed it. I would still say go and get it.
Buy it. Yep.
You know, it's an adventure. Yeah. Cool. Anything else you want to say about that?
Nah, that's about it.
Okay. Any other independent books you want to talk about?
Well, if you're going to talk about Low, let me know because I haven't read it yet, and I'll just do my dishes real quick.
I don't need to talk about it. I read it. Well, Matt read it too, right?
Yeah.
And Matt was like, on it.
It was all right. I actually, after I was done reading it, went to see if there was a Low 7, and I couldn't find it, but apparently there will be after a few months.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
it won't be back until June, and then we start the next part of the adventure. And so I won't talk a lot about Low because CC hasn't read it yet. I'm still really enjoying it. The art for me is just I'm in love with that. So to some degree, I don't care what gets delivered beyond that. But I'm liking the story though too.
Wow.
Do not jump on here. I'll say that much.
Oh no. This is definitely a book. This is definitely a book that is.
Start from the beginning.
Yeah, you
6 issues in. Wait for the trade at this point. But
you need to. You don't. Yeah, it would be. Even me, who's an advocate of screw it, just get on the book, you'll figure it out. No. Here would be I don't have a clue. But it just looks awesome. I don't know. I love it. It's busy. It's boldly colored. I don't know. I love it. I won't talk anymore about it because I'll spoil something. But it's cool. It's going into end of last year. It's my second favorite book that was published. So, anything else you want to talk about? Min of Wrath. Min of Wrath. Are you picking up Min of Wrath, Steven?
Yeah.
Cool.
Final issue, right?
Yeah.
Issue 5 of 5.
It ended the way I thought it would end. Everyone's basically gone.
Yep.
Yeah. One of the main gripes about it was these black pages. Like there was a lot of these black pages, just of text and stuff. And I understand why they did it. It's just like you had double page spreads of like black pages, and I was kind of like.
Yeah, there's this one that literally has one word balloon on it.
One word balloon, and
let's say grace, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So why did they take that artistic angle, do you think?
Because he's near death.
He's near death.
He's going in and out of. Yeah, 2-page spread of it. Yeah.
2-page spread.
Yeah, he's going in and out. The main character is going in and out. And actually, that's 3 pages, to be quite honest. There's the first page.
Yeah.
And then you flip the page over, and it's a 2-page spread of that.
So this is yeah. I mean, I liked it. The ending was, it was predictable, but it was pretty awesome just to see it all happen. The twist at the end was pretty cool with the, the son of the wrath. But that whole thing. But yeah, the black pages kind of just did it for me. But I mean, I enjoyed the story. It was good.
For me, it was okay. I think that the other independent books that are along this vein that Jason Aaron has written are better. I think Southern Bastards is considerably better than this. I think Scalp is better than this was. This felt much more basic. To me, there weren't near the gut punches in this. It felt like you knew what was going to go on pretty much the whole time. So I don't like the black pages and the fact that I paid for black pages, but I like the dialogue that was in those black pages, though. I wish they would have shown us the picture, though. I mean, because here on the cover, they have him laying down with a bunch of dead sheep. And if you're reading the whole thing, the Wrathmen, this family of basically every male in the family ends up being a killer of some sort, either a hired killer or they're just a homicidal killer. They're all killers. I mean, that's this whole the Men of Wrath thing. It started out with over sheep. The first Wrath guy had his sheep. Some other guy came and try and take some of his sheep, and he bashes that guy's brains in. And so these black bubbles have to do with him he's dreaming as he's dying about walking across all these dead sheep, and he sees his dead relatives laying, however they died, laying around amongst these sheep. They could have drawn more of that, right? I mean, wouldn't that have been fine instead of these black pages? I mean, I get the idea of it's black because he's near, he's having those final thoughts as supposedly he thinks he's dying. But when there was too much, right?
I know.
4 pages of the 20 pages are black pages. It's a little much.
I mean, this miniseries has been pretty brutal. Like some of the things that this guy did was so brutal. And like one thing, like I really like when he was at the table, and he basically has his gun pointed. I wish the next page would have been him, like basically,
decorating the dining room with that guy's head.
Yeah, and then him passing out instead of just having this black page. It was just like it kind of just it ruined some of the more brutal moments that
Right. They suddenly pulled their punches.
Yeah. I mean,
So it sounds like it took you out of it a little bit too. it worked, but it kind of took you out of it a little bit.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, for me, this just felt very basic. I mean, I know it's their Southern kind of book. These are Southern guys. It didn't feel like it had that much flavor to it, though. It felt more plain than the other stuff. It's really easy to compare this to the Southern Bastards because they're both they're Southern men set in Southern atmosphere. Southern Bastards, it's just rich as hell as far as it being the South and those kinds of things. This, other than how some of the characters talked, y'all, and that sort of stuff, it didn't have the same depth of southernness about it that Southern Bastards does. And maybe that's because Southern Bastards is really about the South and this is about these guys. I don't know. Yeah. Cool. Stacy, did you read any independent books this week?
Did anybody else read Galaxy Quest?
No.
Matt, you didn't pick up Galaxy Quest?
No, not after last time.
What? Wow, I liked it. I mean, I still like it. You now get more of the lizard people who were affected by Jason activating the Omega-13, and it is revealed that if you have seen Galaxy Quest, then you know that they had to activate the Omega-13 to go back in time and save their friends, and it was like 13 seconds or something. And in that 13 seconds, the lizard people had like done something giant in their economic system, and because of Jason, all that got ruined. So they're pissed. And we discover that they can change form into looking exactly like whoever they want. So there's a new element to this. It is going to be very confrontational because they're like, you have to come back to our planet and fix what you did wrong. And Jason's like, but we have, plans. I have to be on like the Tonight Show. And they're like, no, like you're coming with us. So it's really funny. And if you love the movie as much as I do, then this is an awesome movie. Galaxy Quest is one of my, if not my most favorite comedy ever. So I've always wanted a second film, and if I don't get a second film, and this is as close as I will ever get, then I'm okay with that. So I like it. I do, kind of wish that the drawing or the art in this was more like the actual characters, more like Tim Allen or Sigourney Weaver. But that would be my only gripe about this. Other than that, it's really great, and I like it. Yeah. Since nobody else read it, that's all I'll say.
I didn't even know about it. Sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, that's cool, though. That's cool.
I'm the only person still reading it because I love Galaxy Quest so much. But I also read They're Not Like Us. Is anybody else still on this?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
This is my favorite issue so far. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. What'd you like more about this issue than, like, say, the last issue?
I said in my last one, because in the last one, it opens up with just what we feel, I think, and we talked about this last time, just unnecessary violence. We're like, What is going on? And then you didn't really understand. They kind of explained it, that they are like, well, we are so mistreated, so we just, pick people who we want to have, like, revenge on. And it was like, well, I don't think that's exactly right. But you get more in this about how they feel like society is lazy and like sheep. And I think this book is taking a very like political statement on society, and I like that. I like that it's kind of a book that makes you think a little bit, and you're like kind of like, would I, if I was a mutant or had mutant capabilities, would I hate normal society as well? But I like that they take, I forget her name. What is her name? I always forget. Okay,
yeah, it's not horrible. It's like Psy or something, isn't it?
I don't remember.
Gangnam Style?
Everybody gets a nickname. Nobody goes by their birth name. Everybody's called something different, and I can't.
So this girl.
Our main character, isn't that horrible? I'm horrible at remembering people's.
No, like
give me 30 years. Give me 30 years of reading this, and I'll be able to tell you what her name is. Like I can tell you who Bruce Wayne is, but.
Yeah, I was going to say this happens all the time.
It's Sid.
Yes.
It's Sid. SYD. Sid is what she goes by, right? Because they all have. None of them go by their birth names. They all have the voice. Blue
they
girl.
get names. Yeah. So they take Sid out into society to hone her telepathy, and the person that they target in this with violence, it is revealed that he is a sexual predator who preys on little boys.
Oh.
And I love vengeance stories, and they beat the shit out of him, and I was like, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I say in my review video that if in the next one they find somebody who's abusing animals and take their vengeance out on him, I will be so excited.
And then the next issue, when they find that person who doesn't like Deadpool and they beat the hell out of him.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is that whole part of this is she's practicing her ability to tune people out.
Yeah.
Is what it is, because that's her biggest problem is because she's a telepath, she gets bombarded with everybody, so she's got to figure out how to pull that static out. Well, they go to like the most crowded place there is, and of course you get this speech from the Voice, who's like the leader of this group, about how everyone, these are like the lowest of the low. These are the people who have no ambition. They set really, really low goals, and they never even accomplish those goals. They're just mindless sheep. We don't want to be these mindless sheep. And while she's there, she's practicing trying to tune all these people out. She almost gets crushed. I mean, it's like so crushing on her that that they actually have their other telepaths around, making it so because she's like on the ground, curled up in a ball, but they make it like she's tying her shoe and stuff. Well, she finally figures out how to tune it out, but she there's like one person that's not tuned out. I mean, everybody else becomes this. The art in it's really cool because it basically becomes a giant white void as she tunes everyone out, except for her friends, except for the other people that are in this group, and this one dude. This one dude is sitting there, and he's sitting on a park bench, and he looks a little slimy, and he's kind of giving one of them the eyeball. There's this one of their people giving the eyeball, and she's like, yeah, that guy, I didn't want to tune him out because he was giving me the willies, and I wanted to keep an eye on him. And one of the other telepaths, who's like an illusionist, she's actually making herself look like a young Asian boy, right? And that's why the guy's all hot and interested, because that's what he's after, is little Asian boys. I mean, she even goes so far to make the comment that he would be so grossed out if he realized that I have more body hair on me than the boy that he's ogling, kind of a thing. So I mean, it's all there. Last issue, of course, we had this whole beat up some guy that was just there that was going to be tagging some stuff, and it seemed awfully brutal. And of course, in this one, because none of us are child predators, we're like, yeah, they're beating up a predator, so it's all okay. Does it not feel like that there is a very large element of a cult here? That the voice is like a cult leader?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's a group. But because he's talking this doctrine and stuff that's against society, it almost has this element of...
Yeah, and they get new names, and they don't... Yeah.
Right. They're going to get rid of their families. It feels very cultish, and I like the fact that the main character is going along because she's never really had a place to belong, but at the same time, she keeps occasionally saying, I don't like it when we do this, but this is okay. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what... I just don't think that these people are as clean-cut as what they are, and I haven't decided how many of them are in on the ugly loop and how many of them are just kind of going along because they got nothing better to do. And I'm still also suspicious how much she's in control of her power and how much they're still filtering her reality for her.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. My only gripe with this book is how they end it. Because it's so abrupt. It's just like it's as if like a page is missing. That's my only gripe with it. But it's a good selling tactic. Then you're like, I have to buy the next one.
Well, and part of that feeling I think is this. Okay, so you look at the cover. And the cover has all the information that would be on the inside. It's got the indicia, it's got all that kind of stuff on it.
Yeah.
And then it's all comic. You open it up, it's all comic. And you get to the back, right? And the back has ads, right? When the end of the comic comes because you get to the last page and then you flip through a few ads.
Yeah.
Here's the last page. There's no ads. There's nothing in it. It's just the book. And so that's awesome that you're getting what you paid for. But it does have a weird kind of abruptness to it, doesn't it? It's like, we're going to go do this, and you turn the page, and, there's... I like it. I like the art. I like the style of it. I mean, there's enough weird stuff going on that I'm just curious to...
Yeah. And I care about Sid. Like, I genuinely care about her as a character, and I want to, follow her on the journey. And I think if I didn't care about her so much, then I don't think I would be as into it as I am. I also think that the voice looks like Norman Reedus. Every time I read this, I'm like, it is Norman Reedus. Like, if there's a movie or a TV show based on this, he has to play the voice.
I don't like that character. That character gives me the heebie-jeebies. So.
He does, but because it looks like Norman Reedus, I'm like, I like you, and I don't know why.
I don't know. I don't know. For me, that guy gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like I said, to me, he has this kind of cult leader element of he's taking his people down a very dark road.
Well, he is very charming too, and that's the thing. Like the way he's drawn, he's not like he doesn't look like a cult leader. He looks like somebody who you'd be like, hey, like you look like you're a cool dude. I'm going to listen to what you say. And I think that because of that and because of what you're saying, I think definitely there's some insidious kind of stuff going on, for sure.
But I also think you're right in the fact that they also are, doing a commentary on the masses, the mindless
Oh,
masses out there.
absolutely. And I love that because I like when books challenge you and make you a little bit uncomfortable, and you're like, I'm a sheep. What is happening?
Right.
Because then it makes
Right.
me feel like I'm actually going to go out and do something today. So I really do enjoy it. I'm glad I picked it up. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Cool.
that's all I read. That was it.
What else we got?
Rasputin?
Rasputin. Oh, Rasputin. Ah.
I was gonna say it felt like it was just filler until all of a sudden you hit the end. I mean, it's a good storyline, but it's they're just continuing, like you said. It's a story of Rasputin. So as you get going along, and then at the end, it just shuttles you into this different direction. So
I didn't like the end. I didn't like the end at all. I tweeted that it jumped the shark. Technically, that's not the right term for what happens in the book.
Alright.
I was digging it up to that. I mean, you're right. Every issue is filler issue, really. It's just, because they're quasi historically following the journey of Rasputin, so the ultimate, the end. I mean,
Yeah.
so that's where they're going towards. And then you're just kind of seeing all this other interesting stuff in between. Beautiful art, clearly all the way through it. Rosmo just does great work, so it's fantastic as far as that goes. You get to see this stuff happen. I don't remember him ever getting shot in the head, though, what happens in the past. So, and then the end of this book, I didn't realize that this was an ongoing. I thought this was a miniseries. But at the end of this, it says it's going to start back up again in June. It's going to start back up in June.
White House, yeah.
And it looks like it does a dramatic time jump.
Yeah.
Because it looks like Rasputin's riding in the back of a limo, wearing a three-piece suit like he's part of Washington, D.C.
Oh, boy.
Spoiler for anybody who doesn't get to
Well,
that
now
part.
I have to read this again. I have the first 2 issues and I stopped.
No,
Well-
see, for me, it was like, that's bullshit, because that's not what I signed up for.
But the thing is we kept saying, well, it's just going through the story, and then now all of a sudden, I didn't realize,
Well,
when it cuts to this part, though.
so you get this right. You get this dramatic scene.
Yeah.
You get this dramatic scene of Rasputin taking a headshot from a sniper.
Mm-hmm.
Way
Yeah.
before he's supposed to die, and he's laying there going, wait, I can't die here because I know how I die. He knows how he's going to die. He knows when it's going to happen. That doesn't happen until months from now, so how am I dying? And it fades out to this, and then you get this whole giant, the end of the road to the Winter Palace. Another big, talk about big black pages you paid
Yeah.
for. Check this out. The road to the White House begins June 24th, 2014.
Dang.
You can't keep a good man down.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
And that's why when I first got to that second black page, the Road to the White House, I'm like, oh, is this an ad for a different comic?
Right.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Well, it is. It is, because clearly this is a different comic.
Yeah.
Spoiler
This isn't the
alert,
same
Nice.
comic.
Rasputin joins The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so here's the thing I don't understand. Is that Riley art? Because in June, this artist, Rosmo, starts doing the ongoing for DC. He's doing Hellblazer.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know a
Wow.
modern artist that could do 40 pages a month. So
I
is
don't
he
know.
off this book? Because if he's off this book, I really don't want it. But I tell you right now, I'm inclined to say I don't want it anyway because I really wasn't happy with that.
Well, I'll let you know.
That jump. I mean, part of me is amused by the idea of Rasputin in at the White House because that's kind of funny in one way.
Yeah.
But it's not what I signed up for, and it's enough of a radical change that I'm just no, whatever.
I actually think you were right with Jump the Shark. from what it
Okay,
sounded
right?
like.
Right. Right. I was just like, but whatever. So T's trying to convince me I should keep getting it. Well, or she's like, really? You're not going to keep getting it? And I'm like, I don't think I'm going to get it. I'm done. I was enjoying it for what it was. I was enjoying it, but that's no.
I'll let you know, and if you decide that you're upset, I can always send you the issues in this.
Okay. No. And like I said, if they're getting a different artist on it,
Yeah.
I'm even less inclined to.
Well, and I didn't know. I forgot that he's doing the other DC, so
Well,
it'll be interesting to see.
Well, I wasn't thinking about it because I thought the book was a limited series.
Yeah.
That it was going to be like 5 or 6 issues and that was it. Because clearly Rasputin has a unless you believe he's still out there somewhere, technically has a finite existence, right? After they drug him, stab him, shoot him, tie him up, and throw him in the river, he's gone. Clearly, to show up again in the White House in 2015. I don't know.
He's immortal.
I guess let's get Jim Morrison and Elvis back too, and make it a threesome. But...
Elvis.
Yeah.
That's a Bertrand Armstrong episode. So.
Yeah. I wasn't happy with any of that. So.
All right.
What else? The Odyssey? Did I see somebody flashing the Odyssey?
You did. You certainly did. Love this comic.
Yes.
It's so weird. It's like a game of telephone. If say the story of the Odyssey disappeared and then it reappeared at some point, and they were trying to interpret it.
Right.
Plus Aeon Flux somehow got involved. Plus some amazing art came on top of it.
Yeah.
You would get this comic. I tweeted out earlier, and I don't think anyone got it, but I don't think I can actually show it on here.
Yeah, you can.
The Cyclops has just a chest full of breasts. Like it's just.
She only has one eye, but she makes up for it other places. Yes.
Yeah. And it's just so trippy and so. I mean, you were talking about busy art and low. This has got some busy art in it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's awesome.
It is all over the place, and it doesn't apologize for it at all. It is just crazy. It's loosely around the Odyssey, for those of you, the old Greek story.
Read a book. Yeah.
It's getting late.
Go ahead.
But it takes it in its own direction. It's barely anchored to the source material, but it's still there. Like they do meet up with the Cyclops here, but it's just I don't even know how to describe it really, and that's why I like it so much.
Yeah. It's also for the old school people. It's very reminiscent of the old heavy metal magazine.
Totally.
It to me it feels like it embodies Mobius, what Mobius was trying to do. So I love it for that. The art is really out there. It really is its own thing. Nothing else in comics right now looks like this book does.
No.
It is a challenge to read. I mean, it's not a light read as far as because it's written. Matt Fraction makes it a point of keeping the language written in a way that it matches the language that was written back then, but of course puts current colloquials in there. Yeah. I tweeted some lines out from the book because I just thought it was hilarious. There's some awesome sets up in there. I mean, one of the other larger aspects about this book, and love it or hate it for that, it's gender swapped largely. Most of the cast is females. Zeus is a female. So it's got those elements to it too, and they actually play with that in this even more. There's some great lines in here. Cyclops towards the end of it wants to know who it is that's giving him all this, giving her all this problems because it's not a him, it's a her. And Odysseus says that answers to her, what am I supposed to write on your tombstone when I finally get around to killing you? Because they've all been thrown in pins to be eaten later on. Yeah. And she says all men. I'm all men, and call me all men. And the Cyclops basically laughs and goes, know this. Poseidon's black daughter of Colossus holds all men to blame for her woes. I mean, from delivering a message from a lady that all men are anyway. It's funny.
If you know how the Cyclops' demise comes in this,
right?
In the original, the eye is poked out, and you see that coming in this, and you're thinking, "Oh, that's the way it's going to go." Snatch midair, and just
right. Yeah.
It's just it's a hidden gem, really, I would say, right now in comics, because not a lot of people are talking about it. I don't know if I would recommend it if you're not in the mood to sit down and really read through something, maybe once or twice even. I mean, twice, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. There's some other lines in it that just absolutely crack me up that the Cyclops has and stuff too, where there's a part where they're talking about how, that not only is it a beast and a cannibal, you know, it also speaks in a civilized way. And the first line that comes out of the thing's mouth is, "Who the good fuck are these whores in my home?" I mean, that's civilized. That's civilized talk. I don't know. Yeah, I busted up laughing over that. I was just like, oh man. So, it's cool. It's you know, it's like I said, I don't think it's an easy read, but it's a lot of fun, and the art is amazing pants. If you just want to see art that's just way out there, the coloring and the style of it is just yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. Any other books you want to talk about? Go ahead, Matt.
I got 3 other books, but I guess nobody else got anything. Nobody else read Chew?
No, but I love that cover.
Yeah, it's... Anybody else read Turtles?
I actually was tempted to pick that up. Not that one, but the other thing that came out. What was the other thing that...
That's what I was going to say. That's the one that I actually do want to kind of dig into.
Yeah, I was going to pick that up. I was tempted to. Was it good?
It was actually really cool, and this is the first one that's an honest-to-God spin-off. You were saying that, Stacy, that you wanted a book where animal abusers got their comeuppance?
Yeah.
This is a renegade amount of mutants. I mean, they're going mostly for mutants, but they're looking at what's analogous to, you know, animal testing in labs, and they're, like, breaking in and going for mutant rights in a completely different way. And it's like a gang roaming around looking for trouble. It's pretty cool. And I'm hoping that this book gets a little more than 3 more issues. So I don't know. It's really cool, and if you're looking for something different,
Wait, is that the first issue?
yeah, it's the first issue.
Yeah.
Of the, I don't even know how to say this. Mutanimals.
I was thinking about picking that up actually.
Could you show us some interior art?
I could. That's probably the weakest part because it's Andy Kuhn who did Fire Breather and stuff, but kind of looks like that. He does a lot better when he's not doing the turtles, so I don't know. It worked, but it's not the best.
And he's done the turtles before, right?
Yeah, and that was the weakest. That's what a
Yeah,
lot of people are complaining. Got
Right.
people to drop the book, so they brought him back.
Oh, not sure how that works. Yeah. I have other books I could talk about, but I don't want to just be me talking. So.
I got Curb Stomp.
Okay, cool. Let's talk
Curb
Curb Stomp. That's one of the other books I picked up. Awesome cover.
Yeah, awesome cover. The story was good. Some dialogue was kind of wonky.
That's what I'm hearing.
And the art, yeah, the art is okay, but it's just not.
It's very basic in a lot of places.
Very basic.
It's very basic. It's we're verging on in places of given time, I might be able to do that.
Yeah, some of
kind of a thing.
Yeah, some of the fighting was kind of just like very simple stuff.
Well, or prospectively, people aren't attached to the ground or whatever like they should be. You know, like there's a person riding a motorcycle, and the way they're set on the page, it just doesn't look right. They look detached from the set behind them, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, and there is some dialogue that's.
Yeah, like when one of towards the end, dealing with Violet Volt, and her talking about what happens in the end. Yeah, that kind of just, I don't know. I hope it gets better. I mean, towards the end, I did like what was being set up, and I hope this is a 4-issue mini. I hope these next 3 issues kind of just, start going, and they're basically fighting these other gangs due to some kind of political deal that's going down. So basically, they have to fight for their borough for the next, that's basically the whole premise of the thing, with someone of the team being captured. So, yeah.
Yeah. I see lots of references to this. It's been like the movie The Warriors from the early 80s, right?
Yep.
So
Warriors.
right, on the play. So if you're familiar with that, this really is that. I mean, it really is. I mean, I thought, okay, whatever, but I mean, it really is that. And in a lot of ways, even the awkwardness of the dialogue that's in that movie is reflected in here. It's that kind of thing. You're just kind of going, ooh. At times you go, ooh. What blew me away was, of course, everybody else gets their books before me, and people were talking about, the dialogue, whatever. The first, 2 panels, I started to read that, and I'm like, damn, this is kind of cool. What are people talking about? And it just kind of goes,
Yeah.
I mean, because the first panel is looking up at the stars. The second panel is this machete Betty, floating in a pool, right? And so the first panel starts out with, it's so huge out there, it makes me think of the future, like the movies, the future, jetpacks, diversity, world peace, and Uhura. And I'm like, I can get behind this. This is kind of cool. And then it just, like I said, from there it just kind of roughly clunks along into the rest of it. But
so
I like the
plot? What is the plot?
The plot is this gang, the Fevers, which is a cool name for their gang. The Fevers are in this Long Beach or whatever beach borough. There's the main city, call it whatever you want, Sterling City, where all the rich people live, all the money's there, and you've got these 3 boroughs. The borough they're in, the borough a gang that runs guns in, and a borough that a gang runs drugs in. The gang that runs, those 2 gangs seem to be evil. Their gang supposedly isn't. They're like the good people. They're just a gang roaming the streets to make sure the people that live in their borough don't get harassed, beat up, or criminalized, basically is what they do. Whereas the other 2 gangs run drugs or run guns. The gangs that run drugs and run guns have a secret meeting with the mayor of the city, and they want to clean up the boroughs enough that they can move some of the money out into the boroughs. Secret deals to run guns, to run drugs, and build skyscrapers out in the boroughs and whatever. But they need to take over this borough too. And they're going to do it by force, is what's going to happen, is what they're setting up to have happen. Meanwhile, one of them is walking the beat to protect the city at night, and the rival gang, the Wraith Boys, I think is what they're called, the ones with the guns, are there, and one of them kind of catches them, and the dude pulls a gun on him, which is against code. You don't pull a gun unless, there's some written rule about when you can pull a gun, when you don't pull a gun. The dude pulls a gun, it jams, she stabs the guy in the hand, beats him up real good, and then curb stomps him. Which for anybody who doesn't know literally what curb stomping is, you look up in the Urban Dictionary, or I can just give you a description. Basically, you turn the person's head so they're literally biting the asphalt curb of a sidewalk, and you stomp on the back of their head.
I heard it anyway.
Probably it kills them. If it doesn't kill them, they wish they were really dead, because clearly all their dental work has been shoved through the backside of their head by the time it's done. It's incredibly brutal. But she curb stomps the dude and then kind of freaks out, runs off, gets her friends. They come back. The kid's gone because the other gang guys came back and picked him up. It starts a big gang war.
Yeah.
The Wraith Boys show up and go, dude, you owe us a life because you took a life. And they decide to ambush them instead. It backfires, and the roller skating girl gets snagged, and that's where the story ends at. So it's going to be a big giant war. It's going to be a giant. There isn't much plot. The plot is they need to get rid of the Warriors, so all the other gangs are getting together to kick the Warriors' ass. In this case, the Warriors are called the Fever.
So is there a "Can you dig it" guy?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Not yet. We haven't.
That's where that line
part.
comes from, everyone.
They do sing some Black Flag lyrics in this, so I'll give them some cred there. They do sing some Black Flag for those of us who are into that sort of thing. But yeah, I was hoping for a lot more than what it was.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed.
4 issues, so of course clearly I'm getting them all because I'm already paid in up to 3. So what's the 4th issue, right? So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ooh.
But it kind of sounds like it could turn around, even though possibly.
Oh yeah. I mean, the next issue. Yeah. I mean, if the dialogue got better, if the writing got better, it would manage the somewhat rudimentary art better than what it does.
Yeah.
I read The Life After. I don't know if anybody else has read Life After. You are? Okay.
I didn't get it yet.
No, I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm just going to say one thing about it. I feel very vindicated because, the rock that comes down, right? You remember that?
Yeah.
Talks to Mary, hits on Mary, and whatnot. I said it looked like a potato. It's a potato.
Oh, okay.
It's actually a potato. It's not a rock. God or whatever this being is literally a frickin' potato. They refer to him as a potato multiple times in here, so very happy. If you like him, if you're digging this book, you're gonna dig this issue too because it's still just freaking awesome as all could be.
All I'll say about that comic is, if you are really offended religious-wise, don't read it. Otherwise, pick it up.
Yeah.
It's freaking amazing. I love it.
Yeah, and it's not just kind of playing with Christianity. It plays the whole book. It's the whole. I mean, more hinged on Christianity otherwise, but still, yeah. If you're sensitive to that kind of stuff, it's clearly not the book for you. If you can look at the stuff and not take it serious and laugh about it, there's a lot of hilarious ass stuff in it. If nothing else, there's a giant God bunny in the thing who will let you snuggle in his belly, and that's just awesome. Right?
It's awesome.
That's just.
So this trade is out, right? There's a trade for this.
There, I believe. There's the first trade is out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I say pick it up. It's a ride.
He teams up with Hemingway. I don't even know how else to say this. So he dies and he teams up with Hemingway. Pick it up. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll check that out.
Yeah, it's funny, and Hemingway's funny, and it's good stuff. It's good stuff. But I won't talk about it in detail because I know you haven't read it yet. But
no, I'm getting it tomorrow.
I had to mention that though, the whole potato thing. I was very happy.
Yeah.
I made my kids jump. I'm reading my comic. They're watching TV, and I'm like, ha ha! And they're like,
it's just a potato. No, that's not even spoiling
because they were all telling me, even my family who reads it, because two of my people in my family read it, and they're like, no, it's not a potato. It's a rock or whatever. I'm like, it looks like a potato, man. But so anyway. Vindicated. I will briefly mention I read Superannuated Man. This is the final issue.
I got that too.
Utter crazy pants. Nothing gets freaking answered at all in it. It is pure undulated Ted McKeever being Ted McKeever.
Yeah.
If you like his art, you read it for the art, and you go, oh wow, that was cool. There's some awesome black and white, extra large. The city blowing up, him being blown.
Amazing.
For the, the art aspects of it, a great Hunter S. Thompson quote in the middle of the book, and then just other amazing black and white artwork of him plunging down in. We think we're going to get an answer to what the weird sperm whale thing is. Hell no, not in the slightest.
It's just craziness, and I only picked it up because of
I'm really wishing that I would have renamed my show.
What the fug?
What the fug? What the fug right there. That's pretty funny. Yeah, he splashes down next to that giant whale thing, blurts out in water bubbles, "What the fug?" And there's the whale, and then that's it. He climbs out of the water, has a Hamlet moment with his mannequin head, and that's the end of the book.
It's just a trippy comic. I don't even know how else to describe it.
Quoting Hunter S. Thompson, that pretty much tells me what that book is, and I love that.
The Hunter S. Thompson quote in it is,
fits.
So we shall let the reader answer the question for himself. Who is the happier man? He who has braved the storm and braved the storm of life and lived, or he who has stayed securely on the shore and merely existed?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick that up and trade.
I would at the very least, if you can track down the first issue, read it. Because I am putting this caveat on there. It is an acquired taste.
Extremely.
For sure.
Extremely.
For sure.
Yeah. I think I would like it. I love Hunter S. Thompson, and so I think I like weird stuff, so I will probably thoroughly enjoy that.
Yeah, I typically say go find the trade, but if you can somehow get your hands on the first issue,
right,
I would.
And he might be right. I mean, there are people I know that are in the community here that collect that I would recommend that to, just because they've got that kind of weird kind of taste and that style of art appeals to them. But that's like one person. There's one person that I would recommend the book to, and beyond that, I would not be comfortable going, you should pick this up. I love it to death. I think it's awesome. But it is, like I said, if you want to have a conclusion at the end of this that isn't just...
But were you okay with it, though? I was okay with it.
Yes, because you know what? Even though this is a weird life doesn't really have a conclusion unless someone's dead, and then life still goes on.
Yeah.
That's what this is. It just, it's just, what it is. I'll be picking up the next thing he's putting out, so...
Yeah, I didn't mind getting lost in this when it came out. It was fine. It was a nice, fun thing to just get lost in. I don't know how to describe it.
It's got a dog named Peanuts in it. How can it be bad, right?
Yeah, it's just super out there.
Yeah, it is. It's just him, basically. He just started drawing a bunch of weird pictures. Went, man, I'm going to make this into a story. And I know Image is crazy enough right now to publish it, so let's do it. I just know that's what it was. But, yeah, fun stuff. Okay. Anybody else got anything else they want to talk about? Otherwise, I'll look through the comments here real quick, and we'll wrap it up. What's that?
What about indie news? Or Marvel or DC news?
Okay. What's out there?
So, Jovan Vasquez is coming back to comics. They're doing Invader Zim comic.
Yeah.
It's going to be Oni publishing it. So that's going to be... It's going to be weird to see him doing comics that are in color, really, and not horribly offensive to most people.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed. That is right. I forgot about that. I forgot that's relatively big news.
Well, bigger than that, though, at least for me, Battle Chasers is coming back, supposedly.
I have no idea what that is.
Oh my gosh. So when Joe Madureira was cool... he had this comic called Battle Chasers.
When he was cool.
Yeah.
That's an exact date.
RAP. Yeah, no, back when Image wasn't Image the way we know it, but it was more like Todd McFarlane and all them, they put out Battle Chasers, which was just like high fantasy, but with crazy, colorful digital art. And it was really popular, but it came out really sporadically, and then it just randomly ended one day. So supposedly they're going to come back and finish it up, but it's all to service a video game and potentially an animated series, apparently. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works. I don't know. But that, I thought it was a big deal because it's some comic getting resurrected from, I think that was the 90s, actually.
Yeah.
I'll have to check.
Cool. So you think they're going to do something new with it, or?
Well, supposedly there's going to be a few 3-issue arcs, and the first one's just going to be wrapping up where the comic randomly dropped off years ago, and then they'll move on from there.
I just started to become really apprehensive to titles that have been gone coming back and trying to recapture whatever they thought they had before, because lately I'm feeling like it hasn't been very successful. Or at least not satisfying for me anyway. So,
you're not looking forward to the Dark Knight.
What's that?
You're not looking forward to the Knight Returns?
No, Dark Knight 3.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope that doesn't actually happen. No.
Gosh.
No, not at all.
Can't be worse than the last one, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what I'm hoping for. It somehow tops it and is even worse.
Oh my! I love that.
It was a train wreck.
Yeah. Any other news as far as independent books and stuff that? I hear that Lucifer, they're making a Lucifer TV show, and it's going to be a cop procedural.
Huh?
What?
What?
That's what I heard floating around is that they are. At first, I had heard that they were doing a Lucifer TV show. I'm like, okay, cool, right? If anybody who read that book back as a spin out of Sandman, right? That's Lucifer, right? Was an interesting book. It was good. It had some moments that I thought were pretty cool in it. But then since then I've heard that the storyline they're floating around is that they're going to make it somehow into some sort of a cop procedural. And I don't know. That kind of what's the point of calling it Lucifer and using any of that kind of material, because it's clearly not the source material if you're going to have it be a cop procedural. So I don't know.
Do you know what network picked that up?
I don't know that it has been technically greenlit by anybody in particular yet. I don't know.
Yeah. Because I don't know if this is, I mean, this is old news, but Outcast got picked up by Showtime.
Is that who's actually going to do it? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Showtime's doing it, and I'm really excited because I finally read my first trade, and I'm obsessed. It is so good. Kirkman is just, I think Kirkman and Simone are tied for my favorite writers of all time because I just pick up everything and just love everything they do. So
I wonder how close they're going to follow the comic.
out on Showtime, they can do whatever they want.
That's true.
That is why AMC probably said, we can do Walking Dead and we'll do your spin-off, but as far as, Outcast, you need to get that on like an HBO Showtime because,
well,
dealing with exorcisms and stuff, I mean, you got to do that on a different, you can't do it on network.
Well, and
which is why
because they, right, Stacy, because they can't show all that Cheeto Dorito stuff all over the kid's face during the television, right?
Yeah. But I'm really surprised because of that they are doing Preacher. And I'm really surprised that Seth Rogen is a producer on that, and it makes me real worried, especially after having just read the first book. Yeah. I'm real worried about it now.
Well, trust me, since the first time we heard that was going to come out under that a year ago, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We were talking about this a year ago when they first were talking about it. It's like, well, it'd be awesome, but how are they really going to do that? because there are some. You got to pull a lot of punches, right?
Yeah. You can't. Well, and it's funny because I mean, every time that Walking Dead does something, it's like everybody's like, "Well, I can't believe that's on TV." But that's different because it's not. That's special effects, and that's Greg Nicotero doing his genius. Preacher's a totally different beast.
Exactly.
Your
grandma and the family, and that's going to be. I mean, and the chicken. It's
the subject matter of that is so radically different. Walking Dead is relatively straightforward. You're gonna fight, kill zombies or whatever. You have to kill dudes, and then of course you have the horrible things people do to each other in that sense. But with all the other ethical aspects that are involved in Preacher, it's gonna light up a lot of people. I just can't imagine it's not.
Part of me hopes they don't pull punches. Part of me hopes they just do it as is. Yeah. But I don't know.
But I don't and I don't understand how Seth Rogen has any business being a part of it.
Well, he has the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a fan.
What were you going to say, Matt?
All he has to be is a comic book fan and throw his money at it.
What were you going to say, Matt?
Go ahead, Matt.
Well, I was going to say they can't do Preacher the way it's in the comic because the reason it's comedic is that it's a comic. So where they have the frames and where they use the gutters even sometimes is what makes it funny. If you do that full-on directorial, viewing what's going on, suddenly it's just really gross.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
Because believe it or not, folks, some things really are better and should maybe just be left as comics too.
Everything.
I know. It really is a beautiful medium, and there's elements in that beautiful medium that are gone in any other medium. Whether it's a book, whether it's a movie or a television show, there's elements that disappear that are there. There's a craftsmanship behind some of that stuff. Doesn't always get used well. But on the books that it works really well, it's there, and it's important. And Matt's is completely right in the fact that...
That's why I think DC...
Oh my god, can I get that in writing?
You can.
No, that's why I think
I'll email it to you from my fake account.
And animated, because it's like you can tell the stories that you want to tell in animated form and do it successfully, whereas in live action, you're going to get a lot of people, up in arms about it, and you can't do it as well. Just my DC. I had to throw that in.
Of course you did.
But I do think that, Walking Dead works real well. I think Walking Dead works fantastically both in the comics and as a show because, and I think that's Robert Kirkman, to be freaking Greg Nicotero. He deserves all the awards for the special effects because they don't do a lot of CGI. They do some, but the majority of that is people in actual makeup and actual artistry on the extras. So I don't think he gets enough credit for doing all that stuff because I think a lot of people just think, oh, they just do that. Everybody's just in green suits. No, it's not the case at all. So I think that might be the one exception to where it's equal in both the books and the show. Because, and again, there's characters that are better in the comics, and there are characters that are way better in the show. So I think that's a really good, it's just taking something that's already good and just making it just taking it to the next level.
That's the biggest criticism of The Walking Dead, though, and Robert Kirkman's influence on comics is a lot of people are arguing that they're really just storyboards. They're not actually really comics, because they're just laid out with no real artistry or anything, so you can just translate it, and it's just a lazy way to kind of do this mediation thing, and whether you're a fan or not is going to color how you feel about that, but there is something to be said for that in the way those comics are laid out, because they read a little too quick.
Yeah, you could say the same thing about Sin City, though, and Frank Miller.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I could say a lot of other things about that, too. That's a different story.
Yeah.
Make that video.
No, I mean, I like when a book, I don't know, like, I love The Walking Dead in both forms, but I love the comic equally as much because I can get through that. That's a book that I will reread the entire series over and over and over again. Because it is a real fast read, but it's also super compelling. It doesn't like lose me, and the art isn't confusing. Like you said, it's very straightforward. And I do like that in some of my books and stuff. And I think for a book like that, where it's more story-driven than art-driven, it works.
Yeah, no. I mean, a good story is a good story, so there's that.
Yeah. And it's a good TV show. I'm wearing a Walking Dead shirt today. Every other day. My 8-bit Daryl shirt.
Nice. So, scrolling over some of the comments here, King Gooch says, to be fair, Scalp is better than 99% of all books. I don't know if I would go that far, but I really do like Scalp. Scalp's a pretty awesome book. If you like reading brutal, hard stuff, that's it. King Gooch also mentions that Rismo doesn't stay on books. That's just the way he works, which is true. He doesn't stay on a book for very long unless he feels like he's got a lot of creative control in it, or at least that was his rationale for leaving Bedlam, was he didn't feel like he had enough creator control over what was going on in it. So, yeah, good point here. Let's see. Christina is raging about Rasputin. I'm not sure if that's because we horribly spoiled the hell out of it for her, or she doesn't like where it's going. One of the two. I don't know.
Whoops.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause we did. We killed the end of that book. So I apologize to anybody. I mean, not that we don't have spoilers on here anyway, but we really killed the end of that book for anybody who hasn't read it yet. So some people are saying that Odyssey is just perfect, which it's pretty awesome. No doubt about it. King Gooch, no, Curb Stomp is not black and white. It is. I don't have my comic in front of me here again. It is colored. It's basic colors, but it's like pinks and blues and that sort of a It's a limited. It feels like a limited color palette, but the color palette is this kind of fruity. Fruity Pebbles. Yes, exactly. That's the color of it. Oh, there's the guy that's been curb stomped right there. That guy right there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey.
Ouch.
He's looking real good.
Yeah. Well, they finish him off. The gang finishes him off, but let's see here. I don't see the comments there. Let's try here. Some other people agreeing that that Odyssey looks like heavy metal. Yeah. And Matt Hammer told us that we just saved him on money. He saved him money. He's going to pass on Curb Stomp, which is, probably true. Let's see here. I think I've caught most of the. Oh yes, independent news that Fraction and Deconic are adapting Sex Criminals for TV, and they're also. That's something I kind of want to talk about. And they're also going to be writing some original material. What's Universal TV? Can anybody tell me what is Universal TV? Is that a station unto itself, or is that a production?
Well, they own USA, they own NBC.
Okay, so that's the over. Okay. Yeah, I don't know about sex criminals as a. I don't know how many of you. Do you guys read sex criminals? It's just me.
Of
Right?
course.
I read the trade.
Okay.
I need
Okay.
to get the trade. It's on my list of things to get.
Okay.
No,
so
I've been getting it since the beginning. Yeah.
okay, right. So can you see that being decently? I mean, great that they have the people doing it that's doing it because it's theirs, right? But can you see that? I don't know.
I think it works good as a comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way some of that stuff's delivered.
Hmm.
On Universal TV, it's like NBC. If you're naming NBC and USA and you're putting sex criminals on that network,
I don't know that it's going to be because it's NBC Universal. That's that brand.
Okay.
So I don't think it's this. I cannot even see it being the same thing because they can't.
Maybe it's different.
Unless they completely rewrite everything themselves and make it like appropriate for like NBC Universal, I don't think that's
So you're saying that they won't describe, a Dutch oven sexual position on NBC, huh? Is that what you're saying?
I mean,
Yeah,
no.
no.
I mean,
There's no way.
I think the quiet is a little more.
Yeah, no, the raciest they get on
Well,
there
okay.
is Law and Order SVU, and all they do
Right.
is show the aftermath of,
Right. I mean, that's a perfect example. For Susie, the after the orgasm thing is the quiet, right?
Yeah.
For John, it's cum world.
Yeah.
They aren't gonna say that on.
Yeah.
There's no way. It's not gonna happen.
no.
They'll use some other word that sounds far worse.
Maybe there's like a new
Happy Land.
or a new like cable network coming out or something
That's what I'm starting to think.
that's the only way, because it would have to be on something like Showtime or HBO. Again, another thing that you have to like pay money to see. It's like pay-per-view, so which makes sense. That would be on there.
If they softened the language and they did the sex, I don't know. I would rather them just do it as is, but.
Because there's already that show Masters of Sex, which I don't even know if that's still on, but it would have to be, and I think that's on Showtime.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Not that I know.
For me, it's not even the sex itself, but literally them going into a sex store that sells all the paraphernalia and the movies, and just talking about the movies. Even that alone is not going to make network television. It's not.
It has to be on the cable.
What about the nunchucks?
Well, they'll just make it horrible parody names of all the other shows on the network at the time, so they can plug a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'd love to write that show now.
But like I said, that's what I was confused by, because all I saw was Universal TV, and I'm like, I was trying to Google that, and I wasn't coming up with anything that made me kind of
it's
know
not,
what that means.
Yeah, no, it's NBC Universal, and then I think, because at one point, I think they had Comcast.
Well, I guess for me, my biggest takeaway from that is awesome that they're the ones that are going to do it if it's going to happen. That the original creators seemingly are going to be the people who reap the biggest benefit from this, right? I mean, because if they're doing the work, they're getting paid for it, as opposed to somebody else taking their work, they getting a few pennies on it, and somebody else doing the work and getting the real pay for it. So I'm excited for them for that. I hope that doesn't take them out of comics, because some of the comics they're writing right now are some of my favorite comics, and I hate to see them disappear or get horrifically delayed.
I think I was wrong.
I don't think they would.
I think I'm wrong. Universal TV, it sounds like its own thing.
Right? So is it like so it's one of those, going to be one of those stations that's like way up on your channel box someplace, along with like Pivot and
or is it a UK thing, or is it something like that?
Oh.
I don't know.
No.
So if somebody has a better understanding of what Universal TV is as far as what we're talking about here, hit us up in the comments. If not now, later, to give us some clue as to what that is, and I'll try to pass it along if it's in the comments after we're all gone and I don't talk about it. Because I'm curious.
Like a Netflix type thing.
Huh.
Sure.
Maybe, yeah.
Or they're their own company, they're going to produce it and then try and sell it to whoever. Sell it to Netflix, sell it to, I don't know. Maybe that's a production house.
That's something that would do really well on Netflix.
Yes. Yeah. King Gooch wants to say, while Reem Stevens on the show right now, to thank him for the creating the 4 creators video tag. That's been a ton of fun.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
Oh,
Yeah,
Thank
people have really been enjoying that. So that's been cool. It's been fun.
Huge.
It's been fun watching those because we got to see a lot of different
Yeah.
lots of different stuff on that. So
Yeah, thanks for tagging me, Matt, so I could finally do like a whole video pretty much on Gail Simone and why she's, best thing ever.
That's pretty much what I did.
Yeah, I know. I was like, this is just gonna be like Matt's video.
yeah. Awesome. So I think that's it. I kind of went through the comments as far as what I could tell. It was not talking amongst themselves and whatnot. Anything else you want to say before we call it a night?
Pick up the sender next week. It's by Jeff Lemire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else excited for that? Jeff Lemire with Dustin Nguyen doing art on it.
Art, yeah.
Huh.
Haven't seen Dustin Nguyen do an independent book, so kind of cool. To see that.
Someone tweet me a preview, please.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll try and get that out there to you. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I mean, it should be pretty cool. Yeah. I don't know what other new books are coming out that I can think of that are.
I mean, that's the only one I came up with.
New.
Well,
Awesome.
no, isn't Lemire's Hawkeye coming out next week too? Does he have 2?
Yeah.
Is it out
I
next week
think
also?
so.
I think
so.
I think I'm getting the first issue. I don't think I'm going to get with it, but I think I at least set myself up to get the first issue just to get out of curiosity to see what it was like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, sorry.
So we'll come back next week and we'll talk about those books along with a bunch of other books. As my pull list just seems to get horrifically longer and longer all the time as all these new books keep coming out. At any rate, I thank you guys for coming on and chatting. I think it worked. I think it went pretty well. Hopefully everybody felt like they got to get a word in edgewise. I know once we get past about 3 people, 4 people, it starts to get a little can sometimes be unmanageable. But I think this worked well. So I appreciate y'all being here and all putting your 2 cents worth in. Anybody have any other parting words they want to give before I say adios? No. Awesome. Thank you all for tuning in, and thank you guys all for coming along, and I'll see you all next week. Have a great night.
Have a good one.